This is exciting. I think this is a historic moment, guys.
What is it?
This is the first time 3 white guys have been on a podcast. This is amazing.
Yeah, we're setting history every week.
We'll be able to get some press for this. This is going to be great.
Send it out to the local media.
Real diversity of perspectives here.
Three, two, one. Evan, what's up, buddy?
What's up, dude?
That was a really aggressive clap on my part, and
Yeah.
it's very spastic.
Yeah, a little
Was
fast.
Was that caught on YouTube's?
Yeah,
We're live.
to my knowledge, we're recording.
We're we're not live though. We've never been
No.
live. We're actually going to do a live show. There's a little teaser.
Potentially.
Yeah, a little teaser.
Wow.
For the people
Yeah.
out there. Live show.
Is that confirmed?
It's not like confirmed so that I can announce it, but I can start teasing it.
Yeah, I think that's how you do it.
It's that close.
You're manifesting.
Yeah, we're manifesting, but it actually maybe is booked, and it is in Nashville. We got a special guest in the house, an actual guest, a real person, and his name is Justin Gignac. How's it going?
Woo!
All right.
Thanks, buddy.
Is that I got your name?
Yeah, you nailed it.
Yeah.
Gignac.
I probably got it wrong for the first 5 years we were friends.
Yeah, that's most of my...
But
people.
today in the shower I was like Gignac.
It's like G-Unit. Yeah.
G-Unit, Gignac. Kevin, you didn't know that. You thought it was Gignac.
No, I didn't. I heard you say it, so I knew what it was. But I heard I was watching a little YouTube spot of you yesterday with the trash.
Oh, yeah.
and
Mhm.
they butchered your
Yeah, a lot of times they say
Yeah.
Gignac. Or they spell it with
Gignac.
a C. It's weird.
Gignac makes sense. I have a real bio for you. So I'm gonna
let's
read
hear it.
Justin Gignac is the co-founder of Working Not Working, a curated global community connecting the world's best creative talent with the most innovative companies. Apple, Google, Droga5, Wieden Kennedy, Airbnb,
Sony.
Nike, and thousands of other companies that are now using Working Not Working to staff their creative talents with freelance and full-time talent. Yes, Center, when I first started the studio, I had no employees and I only went to one place, Working Not Working, promo code Center, front and center for your free first
Yeah,
month. How's that?
free membership.
Free,
Wow.
free membership for life.
Well, it's free
actually.
for creatives, so that's
Yeah.
easy to promise, yeah.
And I want to get into this stuff, which I really, really love, which is prior to Working Not Working, Justin had a full career as an advertising art director, creative director, and he had some really amazing projects. Elf Yourself, Wants for Sale, Needs for Sale, New York City Garbage. And we're going to get into those because I feel like to me, I love Working Not Working. Obviously, it's really helped me. It's a great company. It's a really legitimate business. But I always like to say about you that Working Not Working is just one of many things that were a part of your thinking and brain and your sort of desire to put things out into the world.
Yep.
It just happened to really become a real company. Is that
By accident.
Yes.
We'll get into that, but yeah.
Yeah. Your mission is to help creatives feel less alone.
Mm-hmm.
To further that, he runs a monthly creative support group called Talking Not Talking, chapters in New York City, LA, and San Francisco. He has his own podcast.
Haven't done it in a
Overshare.
while, but we should bring it back.
Still
and,
active.
And he interviews creatives about the struggles of being a creative professional. You have some accolades: 50 most creative person, 2015. No longer lives in Brooklyn, right?
No.
Yeah.
Moved out.
And has a beautiful partner, Ashley, and has the best dance moves that I've seen. Welcome to the show, Justin.
Thanks, man.
All right.
Yeah,
Thanks.
This is a long time coming. We've been friends for a while. And, I've always wanted to have you here.
Well, and you witnessed it. Ashley's now my wife.
I know you did it.
Did it.
Congratulations.
And there's a lot of dancing at that wedding.
Yeah, no, I've never seen so much dancing at a wedding. And I've seen some weddings.
Yeah, my invitation must have got lost in the mail.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
sorry,
Well,
Kevin.
if I had been anywhere in the first 50 episodes of Front and Center, maybe.
Shit.
But
Yeah, that's true. So, Justin, I guess the first hard-hitting question is,
Yeah.
you're from Boston. How shitty was that?
Well, I'm not actually from Boston.
What?
I'm from Connecticut, even shittier.
Oh, well.
But Eastern Connecticut, Southeastern Connecticut, right? Lots of farms, lots of casinos, 5 minutes from my house.
What more do you need?
Yeah, exactly. And then, but I grew up a Boston fan. Yes. Red Sox, Celtics, but I hate the Pats.
Yeah.
I'm a
Wait,
New York
what?
Giants fan.
What?
Because the Pats sucked when I was a kid. My uncle was a Giants fan. And so in 1990, he's like, you should like the Giants. And then they made the Super Bowl that year and won.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, that's it, solidified.
I bet
What?
those
Who's your football team?
Giants.
See, there we go. We have one thing in comming.
Yeah, that was a bad move though by you. You picked the wrong way to go.
No,
You've had so many years to be a
think
glorious
I don't
Pats
think so.
fan.
I think those 2 Super Bowls were probably sweeter than any of the
Yeah.
past Super Bowls.
Yeah, just ruining their
Yeah.
dynasty
Yeah.
and accidentally winning Super Bowls. Yeah.
The less you get, the sweeter it is.
Yeah, exactly. You appreciate it more.
Yeah, no, I do agree with that, but I would also probably trade those two to have a dynasty run and sort of have that childhood.
Hey, Danny
sort of,
Dimes.
Danny Dimes.
Danny Dimes Dynasty, baby.
Yeah, this is going really well for us. Not trying to bro out on the
Oh
pod.
my god! Already, everyone who
Yeah, designers
they've
love
all logged
when we
off.
talk about
Oh my
our
God.
sports.
I'm
fandom.
so sorry. We won't talk about sports again.
We will move over to your career as a mascot because again, this is also adjacent to sports, I guess. But
That
it's
is,
like your career started as a professional mascot.
Yeah, when I was 16.
How did you get into mascoting?
Were you the Celtics guy?
No, that would be amazing if I was lucky. So I was my high school mascot. I was a Wildcat my sophomore year of high school.
Wait, so even before we go there, so like, did you have desires to be a mascot as a kid?
No,
Did you,
there was no big dreams. I didn't have like posters of the San Diego Chicken or the Philly Fanatic on my wall. But I was hanging out with the cheerleaders, and as you're a young person trying to
Fuck yeah.
trying to just like talk to the cute girls, and a lot of them were my friends. And then they had an opening for the mascot, and I was like, yeah, I can do that. I'm outgoing. I'm pretty shameless too.
This sounds like a teenage rom-com.
Yeah.
Where you're walking down the hallway and you see like mascot wanted, and he's like, oh, this is how I'm gonna get Jenny Finnegan, and it's like I'm gonna get close to her by being a mascot.
That's really not that far off.
All right, so you started in high school as a Wildcat. Where'd you end up?
I ended up being the mascot for the Yankees AA minor league team in my hometown.
Hell yeah.
So, but as a Red Sox fan, that was a little conflicting. But the Norwich Navigators were right down the street from my house.
The Norwich Navigators.
Norwich Navigators.
Oh,
Norwich.
Norwich.
But we kind of pronounce it as Norwich. Yeah.
Yeah.
Norwich Navigators. I was Tater the Gator.
Tater the Gator.
So in high school, you're the mascot, right?
Yeah.
Did you immediately notice that you had like a knack for this?
Well,
A
I was
talent?
always I grew up in a weird house. My dad was a clown when I was growing up, and a magician, and my mom was class clown.
That's awesome.
So I have like a very outgoing family. My dad was always performing. I would perform with him sometimes. He would put me in his magic shows. So I was used to being pretty shameless and out there. And so and I had a lot of enthusiasm. I'm
really
Mr.
sick.
School Spirit. I probably should have went to like a real college and not art school, but I was doing the high school thing, really enjoyed it, and then a kid
You
that
were
was
recruited.
well, a kid that was in my high school was already the mascot, and he was graduating and going off to college. So he's like, "Hey, there's going to be an opening. Do you want to do some appearances?" So I started doing appearances at like local little leagues and church functions and shaking kids' hands. And then they needed someone for the game, and I got the call up, and
Righteous.
it was amazing. And I got voted best Eastern League mascot.
Whoa.
I had some dance moves. I would mess with the crowd. I did that thing where you'd start clapping, but then you wouldn't clap, and everyone else would clap, and they would,
Wow.
I had a lot of shticks, which was fun. I got a couple concussions.
Whoa! What happened?
I got tackled by another mascot.
Oof.
It was part of the
Yeah.
plan, but he basically like Goldberg speared me, and I got lifted off the ground, hit the ground, and there was a screw holding the helmet. I wore like a kind of a bicycle helmet on the inside, and it's screwed to the head. And one of the screws went through the helmet when he tackled me and cut the top of my head, and I was bleeding inside.
Whoa.
And he's like, "Dude, you all right?" I'm like, "I don't know." Went in the clubhouse, took the helmet off, and I was like, "Is this supposed to be red in there?"
Oh man!
The Norwich, is that the team with the logo with the alligator and he's got the spyglass?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want that hat.
The hat's legit. They're not around anymore either. They like ruined the name of the team. But
Minor League's got the best logos.
best and like just like almost like just some dude just doodled it.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I guess that's our logo now.
This is the best story ever. I honestly could talk to you. I want to watch like a Netflix show about like the life of mascots.
Oh, they have documentaries and stuff.
They do.
There is one I haven't watched yet, but yeah, I got like headbutted all the time by small children running up to me to hug me, and I couldn't see them.
Yeah.
So
It's
I'd
gotta
just
be
be
a
like,
nightmare.
I'd be walking around the concourse and just suddenly get like hit in the nads, and they'd go, "Oh, hey," and then hug the kid. Just like, yeah, it was not good.
So how long was your mascot career in total?
Like 3 years.
Wow.
It was the best job ever.
You ever think about getting back in there?
I'm
Yeah.
too damn old for that now, but like I've never had more fun in a job.
No, I honestly think it would be like life changing just from an experience. Like one of my genuine questions is like, what has that taught you about like life and something like? I feel like there's like profound learnings, like
Probably.
Yeah.
I got away with so much stuff in that suit that you would never get away with if I didn't have it on, like spraying people with a super soaker.
yeah.
Like, and I got into fights with like Vladimir Guerrero and like all these like super famous baseball players that like were in the minor leagues and worked their way up and got into like, I think with Vlad, like he was like doing a rehab start or something. And I got into a water war with the the minor league team that he was on and dumping. They dumped a 5-gallon bucket of water on me, which was funny, except it knocked me down, and then because the head is all foam, it soaked the entire head with water, and it started filling up in the helmet where I was almost drowning inside. And then I stood up and all the water poured out of the eyes and the mouth, and I could barely keep the head up because it was like 50 pounds. So I'm like walking around. It was a blast.
Why not go pro? Like what you had
I thought about that when I came to the city, about doing Mr. Met. I thought that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, that would be the dream, right?
Yeah. But my moves were a little too advanced. I think my dance moves were maybe too fresh for Mr. Met. But
wow.
Maybe too risque.
Mr. Met is the greatest mascot of all time.
Yeah, pretty amazing.
Like, I don't know. I'm more of a Mrs. Met type guy.
Yeah, I like how they
she's
do
caked
ads
up.
and they do.
She's got a dumper. Respectfully.
Yeah. That's someone's wife, Kevin. How dare you?
Good Lord.
Yeah. And so the mascot career, when did you decide that you were going to put that to the side?
I went to art school.
And go to art school. Yeah. You went to SVA, right?
I went to SVA. I wanted to be in advertising since I was 11 years old.
Yeah.
My stepdad, we were in like the parking lot of a Stop and Shop waiting for my mom to come out. And he was actually a garbage man, did construction, concrete, very blue collar. And he's like, you should do something with your brain and not your hands. And he's like, you really like those commercials? Because I used to record on VHS, record the Clio Awards because they used to be on TV every year. And I'd watch the commercials back. And he's like, I was like, oh, you can do that? I didn't know that was an actual job. I thought they just appeared on TV. And so from 11 years old, I was like determined I wanted to make commercials and be in advertising.
That's
I
incredible.
went to the one school I knew had that.
Yeah.
Because a kid a year ahead of me went. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to SVA.
And what'd you study at SVA?
Advertising, graphic design, yeah.
Yeah. And so when you got out of school, where'd your career start? Like, where were you?
I got my first job at Ogilvy.
Okay. Yeah, little shop.
They had little mom and pop shop. They had a program called the Youngins, and it was their way of getting like 6 young creatives to actually want to go to a big old stodgy agency.
Yeah.
So we sat in the middle of the office with like hip furniture and got like really good briefs that made everyone in the agency hate us, which was super helpful, ingratiating yourself into a new company culture.
They're like, oh, these young people, they're going to bring good new ideas.
Yeah.
And so one of the things about your career that I love is that you obviously had some pretty big hits in the advertising world.
Thanks.
Want to talk about Elf yourself and sort of that whole thing. But you also obviously did a lot of your sort of own projects.
Yeah.
Sort of where did that initial thought, desire, intention come from of being like, okay, there's work that I'm being paid for, Ogilvy or any other agency, and then sort of this desire to do like personal projects, creative expression that sort of borders on art and borders on sort of like just like personal passion.
Well, I think being in art school, I was always trying to come up with stuff, like just for class assignments or whatever. But I had a summer internship at MTV in the on-air graphics department, which I later found out I was a terrible intern because I just went around trying to talk to everybody because I didn't know what the hell to do. And one day we were having a discussion about the importance of package design, and someone said that package design wasn't important. I know that hurts your soul.
Yeah, no, fuck that person.
And I was like, well,
respectfully,
that seems ridiculous. So I was like, well, if I could package something that absolutely nobody would ever want to buy and convince them to buy it, I would know my package design was successful. So kind of in Times Square, staring down onto the streets, I was like, oh, garbage. People obviously don't want it. They throw it away. If I could figure out a way to package garbage and get people to buy it, that'd be cool. So I sat on that idea for about a year and just kept telling people about it. Like, oh, I have this idea to sell garbage. People are like, all right, dude, shut the fuck up. When are you going to do it?
Do it.
Which is a great way, actually. Like, I like telling my friends my ideas now because it like holds me accountable to actually pulling them off.
No, it's a great creative tip. Jackie did it with shower cap. She's like, I'm going to reinvent the shower cap. We're going to invent the shower cap. And I was like, you got to stop telling people that you're going to do that or someone else is going to do it. And she's like, no, I'm doing it. And I'm like, okay. And then she had, it kind of held her accountable to doing it. And so,
And a lot of people are so afraid of sharing their ideas, but like, no, just like put them out there. Like, and you're going to have more ideas anyway, but like, it really helps be that motivator for, not everybody's wired the same way, but for me specifically. And so after about a year, I went and made it, and I made like 10 cubes, and I put them on, I made a little cardboard box. I spray painted garbage for sale in silver spray paint, and I had a little camping stool that I sat on. And I went out into Times Square one day and just started hawking garbage. And I'd be screaming, like I'm in Times Square and I'm like, wherever you're from, your garbage sucks compared to ours. I touch it so you don't have to. And so I initially started trying to sell it for $10. Nobody was taken. Then I tried selling it for $5. Nobody. And that was like $5 plus a bad portrait. And I was outside of like TRL at MTV. Nobody was buying it. And finally, after like probably like 6-7 hours of being out there. It was 10 o'clock at night, and some older gentleman from Ecuador who didn't speak English saw them, and he asked how much, and I said $5, and he said okay, and he gave me $5, and he bought one. And I was like, holy shit, I just sold garbage.
That's the best.
And then the next day I went back out with like all sorts of swag, and I was like, I can do this. And I sold like 5 or 6 more. And so I was like, all right, let me make a website. Made them $9.99 because that's what you do. But I tried to make it as collectible as possible.
Sure.
I pick up only dry garbage so people know it's not like wet and nasty. I have a really strong gag reflex, so I can't pick up anything gross. So I'll just start dry heaving. And so, which is not the line of business to be in. But I put the garbage in there, arrange it nicely, put a label on it, says garbage of New York City. I seal it shut, then I put a sticker on it with the date the garbage is picked to make it extra collectible. And then even more collectible is to sign and number each one in like a metallic silver marker. And then I did limited editions. So I sold limited editions for New Year's Eve in Times Square, World Series at Yankee Stadium, Obama's inauguration.
Yeah.
And I initially was selling it for $10 a piece, and I couldn't keep up with the demand.
I emailed you about my wedding. I said I would love to have a garbage for sale because I'm such a big fan of the project. Obviously, I love packaging. I've worked in packaging for so long.
Thanks,
and I
buddy.
just think it's such a genius idea. I think that email just got lost somewhere.
Oh,
And,
shit.
I don't
Sorry
know.
about that.
But I did. I just think it's so genius. And it's there on the screen behind you, Kevin, if you've never seen it.
I've seen it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did my
It's-
research.
So in terms of yesterday, for
Yeah.
sure.
As you do.
Yeah. So this project got you a little bit of attention. So how did that happen? Like, how does like news or press start to pick up on it? Is that something that you just started like?
Oh, I put it out there. So
Yeah.
I did, and this was back in 2001. So I made the website really janky. I didn't know how to make a website. So I did, but this is back in the day when Photoshop and Image Ready was a thing.
Sure.
And it basically just turned your entire page into slices depending on where your guides were.
Yes.
And then it made it a website. And I had crazy rollovers. Like it was not that functional.
Pre-Squarespace.
Yeah.
People don't
Pre any
realize
of
how
that
Squarespace made life so much
Game
easier for
changer.
people that have portfolios or projects or things they want to just sell anything.
Yeah.
This is not an ad
Squarespace.com
for
discount
Squarespace.
code front and center.
Yeah. Free ad.
Don't they sponsor every podcast? Don't
They might as well
sponsor-
sponsor
we,
us.
we,
Yeah.
we got to get in there.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was doing that, and I forgot what was the question.
The question was like, how did you get press?
Oh, how did I get press? So
yeah.
I had the website. I made a bunch of cubes, and I sent about maybe a dozen out to different publications. And so the first one I sent it to was Time Out New York.
Smart.
And they hit me back, and they wrote a full page article in Time Out New York. And then I watched virality happen kind of at the early days of the internet before social media, where all of a sudden that came out, and then NBC News hit me up, CBS News hit me up, and they had a camera crew in my dorm room, and then local radio stations, and then Metro newspaper started writing about it, and then magazines picked it up, and then I would see like Metro New York was the free newspaper on the subway.
Sure.
They wrote about it, but then their London edition picked it up, and then suddenly I started getting a bunch of London press, and then UK press, and Irish press, and doing radio interviews, and this was all in a matter of like a couple of weeks.
Wow.
And then I could just see where like someone else would pick it up, and all of a sudden I'd get picked up in Korea, and then I'd get hit up by a bunch of places in Korea and a bunch of orders from there. It was just nuts.
That's so incredible. And yeah, this is like right before it was really easy to not go viral, but like to get yourself out there. Like you
Yeah,
actually have to,
2001.
you have to send an actual box to a media publication in the mail.
And then this was like blogs were big. And so, it was just like, all right, I'm just going to put it out there and see what happens. And then it all just kind of, snowballed from there.
Would you say that gave you the bug to be like, get that high again?
Well, yeah, it is. It is pretty fun to like put something out there and have people respond positively to it. Because as many creatives, I desperately seek validation. Less and less now as I get older.
I cannot relate.
No,
Justin.
not at all.
Absolutely not. No.
But
not
it
at
is
all.
nice to know that like something resonates with folks, and it was
Totally.
exciting, and for me, it's like I couldn't keep up with the demand because I was in school, and so I raised the prices to try to keep people from buying it. So I raised the price from $10 each to $25 each, and they still kept selling. Then I raised the price to $50, and they sold just as much. But it was funny when I first did it for $10, people were like, "Oh, that's a funny joke." And then like $25, people are like, "That's a cool souvenir." And $50, people are like, "Oh, that's art."
Yeah, no, that's the truth.
It's
like the
how
more
anything-
expensive it gets.
Yeah, it's the luxury goods industry. It's
So
like
art is anything above $50?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, you get it.
Yeah. That's the concept. Yeah, no, because when you said it was $5, it's like, oh yeah, that is the price of garbage. But if you make it $50, then all of a sudden it's a novelty, it's a collectible, and it's something that you want to put on your shelf.
And it's amazing though, seeing how much people are connected to the brands that they love.
Of course.
So I would bring someone to the office in my first full-time job job at Ogilvy around the holiday season. I kind of got in trouble once because I did an all agency email saying I have these for sale in my office. Apparently that's not good to do in a 2,500 person company.
Damn, I thought this was America.
Yeah, exactly. This is in a capitalist organization of an ad agency.
Yeah, back in the day. Yeah, Kevin.
It's peak capitalism. How do they not love that? So, but people come and they would see like two different cubes and be like, oh, I don't know. I smoke, Newports, but I don't smoke Marlboro or a Diet Coke or a Pepsi. And they were like spending 15, 20 minutes hemming and hawing over which one resonated with them in their life more.
Yeah, which one represented them better.
Yeah, exactly.
And so after that project, what comes first? Wants for sale, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you have this huge buzzy moment. You're like, I'm a genius, like, or I've gone viral, and you're like, I need, I have a hit album.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, cool. I got to go back and record my follow-up album, and like I need to go back to the lab and come up with something great. And honestly, come up with an idea that I think is as good, if not better, which is Wants for Sale.
Thank you. Well, I think to be fair, I'm trying to think of the time difference between it. It was almost 10 years in between.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And, the garbage thing luckily got me all of my jobs and all my opportunities in advertising because people were just like, all right,
if you could do that.
Portfolio to portfolio, sure, the talent's the same with someone else, but like you actually took the initiative to do something. You actually
if you could sell
made
trash,
it happen.
you could sell anything.
And exactly. So my ex-wife and I, Christine Santora, we were walking around MoMA one day around the Dadaist exhibit. And it was just this thing where it was like, we're kind of starting off in our careers in advertising and not making a lot of money at the time. And we wanted some stuff. And so I said something as we're walking around MoMA, I said like, oh, what if I made like a garbage cube and called it flat screen TV, and then we just sold it for the price of the flat screen TV. And then Christine was like, well, what if we just painted a flat screen TV and sold it for the price of the flat screen TV? And I'm like, oh, that's so much better. Yes, we have to do that. And so then we made like 12 paintings, all like ranging from free to like financial security, which was a stack of bills for $1 million. And and so then we put it online and just texted it to some this was back in instant messenger days, to some friends. And then one of them sent it to their friend who had a blog, this guy, Josh Spear. And then a week later it was on Josh Spear and broke the site, and we were sold out except for the financial security.
Damn. Cowards. They should have bought that one.
Yeah. And
it's
so
still available if anybody wants it.
Yeah. So if for the people that are not on YouTube, it is, I guess I would call them crudish drawings,
icons.
Yeah, icons of things that range from buffalo wings to baseball jerseys,
$100
to $100 to a watch,
iPhone. This was like on the first iPhone.
It's a good watch. I like that watch.
Yeah.
This must have been 2000. Yeah, maybe 2007 or 2008, because I think it was the first iPhone we had on there.
Yeah.
And so the first iPhone came out, and it was the painting was just a very simple icon painting in acrylic on canvas of the iPhone. And it was the price plus taxed was the price, but then they cut the price of the iPhone because it was priced too high. And so we had to cut the price of the painting. And then someone finally bought it. And so that was like in the kind of the through line with the garbage and the paintings was that the art wasn't really in the execution. The art is in the transaction.
And the idea.
But like the whole point was to sell it and then buy the thing with the Wants for Sale paintings. And we intentionally didn't make the paintings that great because it wasn't about the execution of the paintings.
Yeah.
It was about the concept. So but the art wasn't done until someone bought the painting. So then we could go and buy the thing. And so I love like the art of the sale and the art of commerce and, all of that. And
what was the best thing you were able to purchase from this?
Well, we did. We wanted Obama to be president, which was kind of fun. And so we did a painting and sold that for the maximum donation amount, $2,700. And a guy in France said, I can't vote in your election, but I can buy this painting to help get your president. And so sold him the painting. And then we also did prints. And they were $100 for a print, and all the money would be donated. Oh, if you made the $100 donation, sent us a screen grab, we would send you a print. But if you could prove you're a registered Republican, you only had to donate $50, and we'd send you a print. And then we did that for a few people as well.
Yeah, and these projects again, like we did some work with Mischief, and like we've talked a little bit about sort of like trying to create out of the box brand creative advertising expressions. Yeah. And I always reference your work. And I always reference, sort of some of your colleagues that, kind of made personal projects and did things that in the sort of early 2000s, like we're trying to use the internet as a medium. We're trying to get like our ideas out there, and it's not because some giant corporation paid us, or an ad agency hired us to do this, but really because this is something that we wanted to exist.
It was a lot of, the Andy Warhol quote, art is what you can get away with.
Yeah.
It was like, all right, what can we get away with? Like just trying to cause some trouble. And my whole thing was always about like things being super smart, but then at the same time really stupid. And I felt like that was my niche.
Yeah.
And now not everybody, and I love that like not everybody got it. Like it was like an idea, the garbage especially was an idea only like 10% of people maybe would understand and think was cool, but it made them super fans of it.
Yeah.
Which I think made a big difference.
And so when does Elf Yourself come around?
All right.
How does that idea come? Because that's obviously a project that you're most famous for. And
am I? Shit.
I think so.
I mean, I knew about it when I was in like grade school.
I guess it had the most reach. We go from talking about a super niche idea like selling trash to something that like everybody and their grandmother did.
That was huge in like what, 08?
Yeah, so right around the same time.
Yeah.
So talk to us about, obviously this is a not ad age, but like advertising project for hire.
Yeah.
How does this project come about? And would you like to apologize to all the listeners and everyone globally?
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
It was, I had no idea, and we had no idea what kind of elf fetish we were unlocking with the world, but it was nuts. So this was my third job in advertising. It was a full-time job at Toy. My old creative director and president from Fallon, New York, Ari Merkin and Bologna, they started Toy. It was like a 5-person agency. We were working out of the back of a PR firm's storage floor. Mm-hmm. So it was just a bunch of boxes of product that they would send of like,
it's almost like a garage.
Yeah, it very, very similar. And it was like a plywood table that we made ourselves and 5 or 6 of us in that office. And we got a project from Office Max. And they wanted to convince people to do their holiday shopping at an office supply store, which is a crazy, stupid idea.
Yeah. But like, good luck.
And their budget was only a couple $100,000.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, how are you going to really make an impact with a couple $100,000? Like we could do a commercial, but is that really going to do anything? So our idea, and not just mine, but the team and Ari's, was to give gifts to the internet. Mm-hmm. And make as many sites as we could afford to make.
Yeah.
So we aimed to do 20 websites, and they would all be connected by a little tab on the browser, and you could click the tab and see all the different silly holiday websites. So it would be like Don't Shoot Your Eye Out, or roastaturkey.com, mistletoe in an elevator, where we put mistletoe in an elevator and had people start making out that met at different floors with unsuspecting people in the elevator with them. And they'd be like handing them a FedEx package while they were making out, and people were just going along with it. It was very weird. But one of the 20 websites, so we had no idea which ones would take off, and we were like, let's just try to appeal to everybody.
Sure.
And do a lot of different things. Some of them were super weird.
Take a lot of shots on net.
Yeah, exactly. we were shooting our shot for sure. And
high volume.
Yeah. And it was like, maybe a couple of them will stick.
Cool.
And so one of them was Elf Yourself. And we worked with like 8 different interactive shops to pull off all these websites in 2 months.
Yeah.
And so I was pulling 20-hour days, like 6 days a week.
Jesus Christ.
For 2 months.
Yeah.
It was because we were such a small team.
Yeah.
And so
kids these days, Justin, they don't get it. Yeah. They don't. No one wants to work
they're
anymore.
Way smarter. Don't do that to yourself.
Yeah, that sounds horrible. I would quit.
Yeah, it's brutal. It was brutal. Well, I did quit like a couple of months later. And I went freelance. So, but the whole idea was, all right, cool. We're going to make this thing where you could upload your face to a dancing elf. And we worked with EVB out in San Francisco, and they had done like 2 or 3 of the sites at the same time. And, they went and recorded someone dancing in an elf costume and did all the tech, and it came out way better than we even expected. It was all seamless within the browser too. Like it wasn't like, now they just like upload a little video in a box, which wasn't nearly as slick as it was back in the day. And you could also call in and record your voice, and it would pitch it up to sound like an elf. And we...
Just one of 20
One of
ideas.
26. Yeah, we put it out, and all of a sudden that thing started running.
Yeah.
And we started crashing the uncrashable servers from the hosting place. They're like, these are uncrashable servers. Oh, shit, we just crashed it. Oh, we got to upgrade another server. Oh, we just crashed that one. And it got to the point where it was like 36 million elves were created in the 5 weeks that it was up, or the 6 weeks it was up. And at one point, it was like 8 elves being created every second. It was on like Good Morning America. Like it was crazy to watch that thing happen in real time. And it was a blast.
Yeah.
And then the year 2, when I wasn't there for this, but they made it so you can upload 2, and then they got like 193 million visits in 5 weeks.
I remember the dual.
The dual.
I remember getting a couple of those from like
Yeah.
my family members.
But it was like everyone, like everywhere was doing it. It was
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
Like-
And at one point, did it splinter off as like its own company, Help Yourself, right?
Well,
It became this other thing.
Yeah, well, they started working with like what was that, JibJab?
Yes.
And so
Oh,
like it
yeah.
became a JibJab thing, and then you could buy like a mug with your elf on it, and they started like
Yeah.
really monetizing it because I bet you Elf Yourself. I have no idea what kind of money was
Well, I think
pulling in, but
didn't it go to JibJab, and then it was like you could do the elf yourself, but then you could also do other
Other
country-
like other like JibJab.
Yeah.
yeah,
ask
it
videos.
linked to that. But they also had like so many different. They had like a country music version of the song, a hip hop version of the song. They started doing flash mobs, and I was like, all right, the wheels came off of this. But you know, it's still going, and I think the second year they did Scrooge Yourself also, and so you could do a Scrooge version of yourself. But yeah, it's still going.
Wow.
17 years later?
Let's get that in the metaverse, huh?
It's like 2 billion elves have been created.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's like, you never expect anything to actually do that well. And it's so, and like, I forget, like you bring it up and I'm like, oh yeah, I did worked on that.
Yeah, it's cool to see it like sort of evolve and transform into
Yeah.
other things. And yeah, I mean, I think every year there, JibJab Media is I'm looking at right now. It's like this like privately held company that literally, I guess, to a certain extent, is born from one of these random 20 websites that's just kind of just for the fun of it. And I actually saw this.
I think now it's Oddcast is running it or something. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I
And
mean,
Office Max doesn't even exist anymore. They're acquired by Office Depot. So
yeah. And as you were talking, I was reminded of this tweet that I just saw the other day, which was kind of about how the internet has become a little less fun these days. So it's about this. It's this Cliff Bar website, before 2007 version and 2023
Wow.
version. And you look at sort of the design on the left, which is just this like crazy, weird, but like really not that. Not that
There was a
crazy,
lot of craft.
but it was just like
Yeah.
a little bit fun on the
Yeah.
internet. And then sort of the new Cliff Bar website, which is just kind of like
Blanding.
bland and sad. And I
blanding.
think
Oh, good term.
to a certain extent, I think we're going to go back to this. I think
Oh, yeah.
there's a return to sort of fun on the internet that I think is being lost in sort of this just like commerceification and just the
I'm having
simplification.
fun on the internet.
Kevin's having fun on the internet, and
We
I do-
are right now.
I do think that is something that it just reminded me as you were talking about sort of
Yeah.
just this early 2000s, early internet age where you just like, using it as a medium and just a fun way
But there-
to like get things out there and other people to engage with it.
Do you remember loaders? Like on websites, you need to have a
Oh,
loading.
yeah.
So like all those Office Max sites had loaders on them.
Yeah.
And some of them were like, we did one, I forgot what the site was, but like it was Elf Interviews. And they were interviewing for other jobs in the real world. But like the agency Grow in Virginia, they went and made these like a little like video cassette reel or
Yeah.
VHS reel, and the tape actually went from one side to the other while it was loading. And it was like just really nicely rendered and really thoughtful, and it had to do with what the whole site was.
Sure.
But it was like there was a lot of craft and a
Totally.
lot of details and a lot of attention to detail. And it was like, oh, where can we put something that's a little delightful?
Yeah.
And I think like not a lot of brands are doing that now, so it feels like it's standing out. Like Liquid Death, we've been talking about.
Sure. Yeah, for sure.
And you guys did amazing work for it. But like that's like when brands actually give a shit
Yeah.
to like, I don't know, you got people that are fans, have some fun with this shit.
Yeah. And it's entertainment to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And yeah. It just reminded me of my first portfolio website that had center and you clicked enter in my name.
Yeah.
And it sort of like loaded for a second. And it was just like,
Did the C spin to load it?
Just the enter part became like filled up.
Yeah.
And that's how you got into my site. And it was just like little dumb moments of joy on the internet. And I think that's something that just like kind of got lost in the sort of commerce of it all. And I do think people like Liquid Death and a lot of other brands
Yeah.
are kind of going
Apple's
back to
fault.
that spirit of things. And I actually think like one of the things, my favorite part about Liquid Death is they have this thing called Time Waster 5000 on their website, which is just like a place where they bring a lot of their marketing, but just like crazy ideas. Like
Yeah.
they did polluties, which are stuffed animals that sort of look like, they're animals with like pollution in them,
Yeah,
and like
that were killed from,
straws in
plastic,
their noses and stuff like that. And so I think there is a little bit of that coming back, and I just am excited about it. And it does remind me of like everything that you were doing at this time.
Well, and you're talking about like my friends who were putting stuff on the internet, like Jeff Greenspan, Brian
Yes.
Moore, Chris
Thank you.
Baker.
Yes.
I think there was, going back to the validation and maybe being sometimes insecure creatives, there was a real effort to prove you were clever.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it was like,
yes.
all right, cool. What are all the ways I could prove it? And sometimes it gets exhausting.
Yeah.
But I think there was like, that was a good motivation. We were all kind of competing with each other a little bit too. Like, I want to, and then you see someone do something like, oh shit, I'm jealous of that. That's awesome. I want to do, and I'm excited for them, but I also want to do something like
totally.
And
the most exclusive website was like one of those projects, or like hipster traps.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm thinking about like
all
that
stuff.
Yeah. And I just remember that moment. And I was always too corporate. I was always like working at Coke doing like very like not
very
cool things. And I was like,
yeah.
And I was like, man, these guys are doing such fucking cool internet-y like just design ideas and just putting them out there and making things.
But it was never for a purpose. And I think that's the thing is like the friends of mine and people that I've just seen find a lot of success in this industry like I describe it as giving gifts to the internet. Like Jessica Hish is really great at that.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, Mom, how does Twitter work? Or should I work for free? And that kind of stuff. And
and
people who just keep putting things out there and it has no real benefit. It's just like, hey, here's an idea I'm excited about, and I think other people might be into it. And I think there's a big opportunity for that now for any creatives. And the internet is magic and everything is possible now. Like back when, the olden days of 2001, when I'm making my own damn websites, I didn't have a Squarespace or WordPress or anything else. I didn't have TikTok. I didn't have Instagram. I didn't have any of that stuff. And now you can just like have an idea on Friday, make a site over the weekend, launch it on Monday and have it go viral by Wednesday.
Yeah. We're going to sound like the old guys real quick here, Justin, being like back in our day.
Well, just, all right, let's picture this podcast in 10 years when AI is doing everything. And we'll be like, we used to have to come up with ideas and comp things.
Yeah. I went to an advertising directors club. I think you were there. Remember George Lewis like sent in that message?
Oh yeah.
And Debbie Millman read it.
Yeah.
And it was basically like, you fucking lazy fuckers. Just like you don't know. It's just like you don't have to make anything anymore. Like you guys just basically are just the computers make it for you.
Yeah.
And it's just like that. I just saw us becoming that. Obviously,
we are
like,
that. Clearly, this just happened in real time.
Yeah. Oh, boohoo.
Yeah. And AI, it's like, you kids, we had to make our own websites. You guys just put in a prompt.
You just speak it. And it happens.
Exactly. But no, those things like are the spirit of them. I think is exactly what you're talking about. It's just like making things because you want them to exist and you want to give them to other people. And this podcast actually is that. And I actually similarly told you a couple years ago, so I'm making a talk show. I'm making a design show that's just fun and just is going to be in the spirit of the shows that I love. Pardon the interruption. These is Marrow and those type of things, and just about design and branding. And now we're sitting inside of it, and so it's like put those things out there. People will get it. They're more attracted to those than the like really dope case study that you just made, because I think we all try to one up each other making the world's greatest case studies of projects.
Well, I think there's also like a thing now which isn't really in vogue is putting too much effort into things. I remember I worked with BuzzFeed for a while a few years ago, and they said that like all the stuff they put the most production money and production value into did the worst performance. Because people wanted stuff that looked like their friends made it. And so that's such a big thing. But I got to take you to task a little bit about this podcast right now. Now that when you pitched it to me, before it was like 2019
before the
maybe.
Pandemic,
when you're first starting the studio, you said, I want to have a talk show and I want to have a set.
And
I want to have a logo. Like, where the fuck is the set, guys?
This is the set. We're on set.
No.
It's the studio.
All right.
The studio's the set.
No. You guys have great branding for front and center.
Yeah.
You can put those like little square things on the mics, maybe.
Okay.
You could put
they were trying too hard.
But it can be janky. You can just put it with paper and tape it together. I think you need a little bit of the branding here and make it feel like a studio. Maybe you just have ties that you slip on over your necks for the interviewer.
I don't know.
Jimmy Fallon.
I get fitted,
No,
if Kevin only wore a suit, with that that Hurricanes hat, I think that'd be amazing. But it's only like a front of a shirt and a tie, and then the jacket that you put on specifically for this.
We have talked about having like an official set. I do think I do like having it in the studio, sort of as like this is just a thing that's happening inside of our design.
I should be right here, and it should look mostly like this, but you need a couple things.
I think in Office 4.0, there'll be like a little section that would be like the front and center like filming set where we're not
separated from the.
Do you guys still have printers?
Yes, we do.
All right,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
you guys could print off some 11 by 17 front and center right up in the corner here.
We could.
Yeah, we could hang that from the back there. Justin, we need you to hire you to
Fucking
consult
Christ,
us
guys.
and get the show
Mickey
up
Mouse
to par.
operation here.
No, I mean, listen, mate,
Jeez,
listen,
come on.
Justin, we can't do it all. We're doing our very best.
What are you also doing award-winning design work?
We're trying. I mean, listen.
Cut to the Can Lions.
Yeah. I mean, listen. When we
Look at
started
those
this,
cubes.
when we started the,
Oh, those are Die Line Awards?
those are
And that's a silver pencil.
Yeah, we got awards.
Is that
baby.
in frame? Does everybody see your awards in frame?
I don't think
Okay,
so.
good.
Maybe
Thank
some
God,
of the D
'cause
is in
that'd be
there.
embarrassing.
But no, I mean, when I started the studio, it actually had on the site, it was center as a design, studio, and front center as a show.
Yeah.
And then for like the first 3 years of this business, it was only the studio part. I really only focused on the work. And so now it's really fun to be able to like take that idea that's been sitting in my brain and then try to continue to push it. And this is like the 6th week of YouTube. So
it's so great.
Justin, settle down. We're
Yeah.
gonna
So great.
we're gonna get
We're
there.
walking.
But I do want to get to topics, and then I also we have to talk about working out.
Oh, yeah, that thing.
So then,
we're good.
obviously, you have all these ideas. They're you put them out into the world. My one question before we get to working networking: do you have any ideas that you put out into the world that just totally flopped, did not work?
Yes,
just like
of course.
completely like no one reacted to, and
Yes.
there was no virality.
Yes.
Talk to us about like one of those quickly.
So I put things out all the time, and I wanted to see what would happen. And back in whatever year this was, 2010, chat roulette was a big deal.
Yeah,
Remember
for
that?
sure.
So for those of you who don't know, the Youngins on the podcast, it was basically a video chat in the browser that you just hit, random, and all of a sudden it paired you up with a video chat of someone else around the world.
Yes.
And then you could hit next, and it would bring you to someone else. And what would happen a lot on there
Yeah.
is people would show their wieners or other body parts.
Yes, I remember this.
And so I was like, wait, if all these people are posing nude for me, maybe I should draw them.
This is a good idea.
And so
this is good.
I did a project called Nudes of Chat Roulette.
Okay.
And I spent about 2 hours one night at like midnight to 2 a.m. Screenshotting people naked, because one thing that happens when they're naked and you're not, they skip you very quickly.
Yeah, because they're scared.
Well, I think
I
also
was scared.
they're looking for a little bit of fun.
Yeah, what a party.
Yeah.
Yeah, they wanted to party, and I was not there for it. So I had to be really quick with like my
Screen grab.
My screen grab was like, so I deemed on chat roulette, you're either the wiener or the wiener hunter, and for 2 hours I was the wiener hunter, and I got a bunch of screenshots, and I did charcoal drawings, actual size of the browser, the video window, and I drew it on this nice this paper, and I gave them artistic titles like large man, small twig, pair of plums, a still life of plums, pair of melons.
Yeah.
And so I tried to make it really artistic, and it was nice because I've been selling trash for years.
Sure.
And I was like, I went to art school, I can draw.
It's your
And
fine
so-
art side. Yeah.
So I sat down and like had a blast for over a weekend drawing like a dozen of these.
Sure.
They look lovely. You can call them up off my website. And they, I put them out and put it on Facebook, which was around. And a couple of people shared it, but my mom didn't even share it.
Yeah. Wow.
Weirdly. But one thing I realized is like, that's a great litmus test. So I have the people who are my biggest fans and most like-minded people in my life are my friends and, colleagues. And they didn't really share it. So that probably nobody else is, because I was like, I'll do more of these, I'll sell these, whatever. And I put it out and I was like, oh no, nobody cared. They thought it was funny, but nobody bought them. I think I sold one. But that's okay, because I was like, I got to scratch the itch of being able to draw again. That was exciting, and I proved I could do it. I could prove I could do something else other than put garbage in a box. And it just like, it was satisfying. And I learned that. I learned like, cool, like it's probably better to fail small. You do a few things that you like and just send it out to your fans. And if it doesn't go anywhere, that's okay. It's not an L.
Yeah.
I was like, I really enjoyed it and I learned from it.
Should have
So
brought
it's
one.
like,
You should have
cool.
brought one here. Maybe
I've got a bunch.
We could have put it up. Maybe that could be our set decor.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
just
beautiful.
the buns right behind my head. Yeah.
Yeah. This one I think is me. Yeah. So.
Oh my God.
So yeah, if you could bring me that one.
What is that? That's man with sausage.
Yeah, for sure. No, that it is good. Like, especially because your projects, like you said, like it's not like you're dedicating years and years and years to the execution. You were able to sort of like, it's a brilliant idea. It's really funny and sort of spend, charcoal pen and a piece
and
of
also not
paper
overthinking it.
and not like,
Like I spent a year thinking about the garbage thing, which I didn't need to, and it was a lot of fear that it's going to fail. And so with this, it was like, I'm just going to put it out there. And now I'm not afraid of shit failing because it's just like, oh, it's volume. Like I used to see this artist Daniel Etok, who I really looked up to. He does like a bunch of like cool experiments where he'll put like an entire rack of super Prismacolor markers on a stack of paper and just leave it there for a week.
Sure.
And then like his additions were all of the sheets and how deep it bled into it. And I was like, a lot of conceptual stuff like that. But he was so prolific. He had like 100 projects, and I was like, oh, it's that. It's just playing. It's just having fun and not taking everybody too seriously and just putting shit out there.
Yeah, and I think Kevin and I talk about this a lot because we make memes. That's one of our, sort of our art work.
Is that the center tagline?
Yeah, the front dot center page. And I'm always one to be like, is this good enough? Or thinking about it a lot. And Kevin's just like, post it and like just
do
let
10
it
of them.
rip.
Yeah.
And it's just like, stop overthinking. And I am absolutely one to overthink because I think like, oh, how could this be better? But then at a certain point, it's just like you're causing yourself to not do things, and you don't know the one that's going to hit is not always the one that you think it's going to hit.
No idea.
It's always the one that you just put out there and we're like, oh, maybe this is a thing, and then all of a sudden you're like,
misspellings on it.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I
works.
like things with parameters.
Yeah.
So then you have excuses for it sucking.
Yeah.
So you're like, hey, we're going to make all of our memes in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And we're not going to put more than 10 minutes into it. Cool. And we're going to put every single one that we come up with, or the top 10 that we put, and we're going to put it in a carousel, and we're going to do that every week.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, cool. Yeah, we only took 10 minutes in. How good do you fucking expect it to be?
Yeah.
But then you have that out, which sometimes you need that for the creative disclaimer.
Yeah.
But then you start getting faster and you start having more fun with it, and you start taking it less seriously.
For sure.
So when does working, not working come into your brain?
So I went freelance in 2007.
Okay.
At the time, not a lot of people were freelancing. It was like, some good people that I knew, maybe like a dozen, and then a lot of people who just, were in between jobs. So finding freelance work, is maybe you and the listeners might be familiar with, is a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And so every time I would need a gig, I would call and email every single person I knew in the business, but I only had 3 full-time jobs, so I didn't really know that many people. And I was like, hey, do you got any work? And they're like, no, not right now. And then 2 weeks later, I'd get booked on a job. And then without fail, I'd get like 4 or 5 more offers that week that I couldn't take. I'm like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
And I was like, so I'm a bit of a smart ass, as you could probably already tell by my work. And
it permeates.
It permeates. Yeah. Smart assery. And so on my portfolio site, I just put a giant blinking neon sign. I called it Justin Gignac Freelance Status Apparatus. And it either said Justin is available, Justin's working, or Justin's working but available soon. And then I had an overutilization of technology for people to follow my availability. So I had a Facebook group, a Twitter feed, a text alert, an iPhone app, and a mailing list. And it was like, whatever is the most convenient way for a recruiter to follow me, they could do that. I ended up with like 40 recruiters from different agencies following me. Every time I'd flip my status to available, I'd get 2 or 3 job offers that day.
Wow.
Any jobs I couldn't take, I would just start emailing to my art director friends, and people are like, oh my God, that's so cool you do that. I'm like, do what? They're like, share your contacts. I'm like, yeah, of course. Like, there's plenty of work to go around. And I want to make sure, everyone's hooked up. But that really helped me, because now the recruiters started hitting me up first and say, hey, Justin, I see by your little sign you're working, but are any of your friends available?
Wow.
And so I'd be like, all right, cool. Does anybody want this job in McCann? And people would be like, yeah, cool. And so my buddy Adam Tompkins and I were talking one day, and we're like, well, if that little vacancy sign could have worked for me, it probably could work for everybody.
Wow.
And so in like summer of 2011, we started reaching out to some design studios to work on it. And we launched it in January 2012.
Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those things that just like, you made it because you want it for yourself.
It solved the problem.
Yeah. It literally solved the problem,
worked,
and it really worked. And I think there's a spirit of like you said before, it's like putting stuff out in the world that you wanted to be there, but also to kind of help other people and to like give people gifts.
Yeah.
And I think that is a gift to any single person. And I do think this is right before you, like you said, the freelancer economy, where everyone was like,
it wasn't really a thing.
It really wasn't a thing.
What's that?
Do you think you made the freelancer?
I think
freelance economy boom.
I think from what people told us, it really helped create a safety net for people.
Yeah.
Like, it got to the point where, like, we've all been in the corporate world. We've been in jobs that have been like a slog, and like, you're just like, fuck this shit. I don't want to deal with this anymore. So to know you could go and like put your shit on a website and be able to say, hey, I'm available, and a good chance you'd be able to find some work, that really helps.
Yeah. And I think the spirit of it was always sort of like, like the more people that can get freelance jobs, the more people can make this a living. And I think, to me, that's like the biggest gift you can give anyone, is to be a creative professional and to do it every day or
Yeah.
to do it for your life. And
Yeah.
I think that's something that is like a beautiful thing. And I think for freelancers, right, like there is always that uncertainty of like, well, it's really popular right now, but maybe in a month or so it's going to be, sort of not
Yeah.
there. And so I think that uncertainty or that sort of like calmness or that feeling of just like, okay, I can do this is so rewarding for people. And I think, I never experienced it. I had a working, not working page. I just had working for like the first like 10 years or 8 years of your company. And I always looked at it and admired what you guys were doing because it just went from like you said, like a simple idea for yourself to a sort of idea that maybe could help other people to a full-fledged business that just was legitimately as popular as any other freelancing sort of recruitment sort of a job portal, I guess, if you were to call it that.
Oh, and I liked when like even like you left your full-time gig and you started Center.
Yes.
It was really just you taking on projects and like people kept going like, hey, and then you still told me like brands would hit you up or, companies would hit you up on the site and they'd be like, hey, can you come in? And you're like, well, I got my own studio, but I can do projects with you. And then that led to like a lot of the stuff up here, which is like so cool to see.
Yeah, no, that is actually the secret is like when I quit my job, I knew I wanted to start Center, but I knew I was interested in doing it with other people. I didn't want to be a solo practitioner,
right?
But like that was the gigs that were coming to me was like, hey, we have this project for you and not a project for a company. And I would be like, cool, I'm going to take this job and maybe I'll bring someone with me or I'll bring it back to the...
Or you just prove you're good to work with and a great collaborator and they'll give you something next time that's a little bit juicier.
And I actually was so shocked when I actually turned it on when I had my working.
Yeah.
I was like, turned it to not working. And then like I got like a really good gig with like LeBron James's like sort of one of his side companies. And I was just like, wait a second, it can't be this easy. Like what a wonderful website Justin has created that I maybe I should have been using this for a long time on the side. But
I think it's really funny because like, when I look online, people will go, oh, I never got anything off of that. And I'm going to take blame for a lot of that because we didn't communicate exactly how the site works very clearly to people. But like people who update their status pretty regularly get shown at the top of search and they find stuff. But a lot of people, created the site, page once and then they never went back to it. So they're showing up at like page 500 of search results.
Yeah.
And so like, you never got anything. And so like, I think that's the thing we're working to improve now.
Flip it on and off.
Yeah, is making sure that people are aware of how that works and making sure we're only showing people that are actively looking right now. And then if you're not, we'll leave you alone until you are.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And then when it came to actually starting to recruit and hire people for my company, I used working, not working for my job posting. This is now fully an ad.
Yeah.
And the best part about this whole story is that Kevin applied to a internship posting on working, not working.
Let me tell you, I didn't have very
awesome.
much success on there.
For
the first several months.
I think it worked out all right for you.
Yeah.
No, it did.
Now you get to check 4 people's phones from the office to make sure they're recording throughout a podcast.
And
Kevin, living the dream.
Kevin, what did your working profile say?
If you got a problem, you all solve it.
And I was like, I got a lot of problems.
Yeah.
And Kevin's been solving them for years. And so it's like, that truly changed my life.
It's a Vanilla Ice quote,
and
right?
I do like to, I like to give you credit for it because,
thanks, man.
And I know that makes you happy because it literally, it enabled me to get jobs when I first started and like was essentially a freelancer. And then when I got enough jobs that I needed other people to help me with, I used it to,
it's the dream scenario.
fill a room and hire the best people. And then now we're at a place where obviously people email us and it just, this wouldn't be possible without you. So I really do appreciate that.
That's awesome.
And I guess the last question we got to just ask it is like, how emotional sort of was the decision to sort of sell the company,
dude,
to sort of to make that decision? We can cut this.
No, it's fine. It's such a hard thing when you're working for, at that time it was almost a decade. It was 2020. Our everything.
What was going on there?
From marketing wise, we went to a standstill. We didn't know what the future of our business was going to be. We were still like, kind of able to tread water, which was great. But like we took an approach that wasn't the most profitable approach. I think if we had been part of every transaction and taken a percentage and all that, we would have been printing money. But like we didn't want to be taking money out of our friends' pockets. So we never charged creatives. We didn't charge a commission on any of the hires. So we're like, hey, let's just give companies easy access to this for a few $100 a month and they can hire as many people as they want. Smarter business people would not have done that approach, but like, we were creatives ourselves and we wanted to do right by people. And we were just trying to make everyone accessible. And so like, we were like, all right, trying to do what's in the best interest of the community over and over again. And like, it was Fiverr reached out to us and a couple years earlier, we had conversations just because I'm like, oh, I'll always have a conversation. You never know where people end up or whatever else. And I was like, it was hard. It's hard when you build something and it's your baby.
Yeah.
And you care deeply about the community and you feel an obligation to the community. And so like for us, when we had those conversations with Fiverr, I was like very pleasantly surprised that they were on board with our mission. They were on board with like us doing what we're doing, but just doing it bigger and better. And they just wanted to see us and help us succeed. And so, got a fuck ton of backlash when it happened, of course.
Yeah.
But like I was also pretty critical of Fiverr, publicly prior when we were going against them for the Webby Awards. But
there's that great tweet.
But all those conversations I had, really surprised me.
Yeah.
And really went like, oh, they actually care about the future of work, giving people work, enabling people to work, and they want to help people on, the entire spectrum of talent level, of experience, all of that. And, it's been cool to see what they've been doing, and they're evolving their business and getting more enterprise customers and business customers and all of that, and really trying to expand. And so for us, it's, it is a learning curve when you go from being a scrappy 8-person company to then being part of a bigger organization. But they kind of let us just do our thing and then support us in all the logistical stuff that we didn't, have the resources to hire for.
So to be clear, you're still working?
Yeah.
Are you working or not?
I'm still working, baby. So yeah, I'm still working. It's been a little more than 2 years since the acquisition. Working.
If I was you, I'd be not working.
That would be cool.
If I was you, I'd be a mascot.
Yeah, my back would want me to be a mascot too. But I think that that's a
take one shot of nuts from a kid, and you'll
my god, you'll change your mind real quick. You're gonna need those someday.
You're like, I'd like to go back to my home office, and where I can make a sandwich for myself.
So now it's fun. It's like, all right, figuring out like how do we make a platform that's relevant for 2023 as opposed to 2012 when we launched, and we got a lot of things that we're working on and changing things and launching new things, and just still like kind of reinvigorated now because we don't have to worry about keeping the lights on. Now it's just about like, hey, how do we have an impact and really help the community?
Which is amazing. And I think it hasn't, in my opinion, or from my viewpoint, hasn't seemed like it's changed working, not working. It doesn't seem like they're like, trying to turn it into something different. No. They're not trying to sort of like, scrap it and just have you guys work on Fiverr. Like it does seem like you guys are still doing the same thing you've been doing, just with a little bit of support and less.
I think a lot of the stuff people haven't, not a ton has changed on the platform, admittedly, that people have seen on the front end, but things have been changing in the back end, but things are going to start changing a lot.
Great.
And, brushing the dust off and making it sexy again.
The parties, those are always the best part. I think that's the key to the success. I was
talking about the parties yesterday.
Free ideas around on this podcast, but I got a big idea for you.
Okay.
The parties, they gotta keep throwing.
Well, that was the biggest thing. Like, I think what we did really well is we built amazing community in person, and mainly our key markets, New York, LA, San Francisco. But like, that was the stuff. Like, it was like cool. Like, we'd have happy hours all the time. We'd get people together. Like, a lot of collaborations
bring it back
from those parties. We got to bring it back.
Because I remember when you talked to me about the parties originally, because I was like, oh man, you guys are throwing these amazing parties. You're like, well, every agency has an incredible holiday party, but what about the freelancers?
Yeah, we never got to go to those.
You don't get to go to those holiday parties. So if you create the world's biggest freelancer holiday party, then you can create the best party around. And I think you guys, you did some crazy things. You had like installations and performances.
Well, we knew the best creators to work with, so that really worked out well. And it was like, for some reason, we were able. It was our holiday parties would be like Adam and I, and this is like, early days, we were really small. And at the time it was like maybe just the two of us. And it would be like the week before Thanksgiving or 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, like, oh yeah, what are you doing with Thanksgiving? Oh, I'm going to see my parents. But like, oh shit, we got to plan the holiday party. And it would be like something we'd plan in like 3 weeks.
Wow.
But we had that restriction. It was like, we didn't really have a big team, and we'd spend what we could afford. Like, I think the first party cost us like less than 10 grand. And I think at the most we ever spent was like 25 grand.
Was that House of Vanity?
Yeah. The House of Vanity was the last one we had in 2019, which I think might've been a COVID super spreader event.
Yeah.
Cause some people had lost taste and all that, but didn't know what it was at the time.
Interesting.
December 2019.
We were there.
Yeah. But that, those parties, that one was the most expensive by far. But those parties we were doing for not a lot with like booze and beer and great DJs, and we were just like being as scrappy as possible. Like, yeah, we had wacky inflatable tube guys on the dance floor and bootleg Cinderella and Minions, you know?
Yeah. And I think those things
silly.
are really important. Again, it goes back to that spirit of like, giving back to other people, helping other people.
Yeah.
And you have that great quote on your website that I have here on the wall here. But who is Zig Ziglar?
Zig Ziglar. So I thought this was my dad's quote for the longest time. Like, wow, my dad was also a motivational speaker. So I was like, oh, wow, Dad, this is great. But he said, help enough other people get what they want and you'll always get what you want. And I found out later it was Zig Ziglar. My dad plagiarized, but it's fine. But that's kind of how I lived my career. It's like, you know, just trying to hook people up, and it's like becoming a connector and helping other people succeed and seeing like, oh my God, this person should know this person. And they got to collaborate, and just making those introductions, you know, always ends up paying off because then people are always looking out for you too.
Yeah. And I think that I resonate with that so much because I do believe that, you know, one of the reasons why I love being a designer, why I love being a creative is because I genuinely like to make other people happy.
Yeah.
And of course it helps my sort of endless need for validation as I talked about before, but like there is a part of it where it is truly an act of seeing other people achieve their dreams or making them, you know, happy or bringing them joy or helping them solve problems. And
yes.
I do think a lot of times young designers are like, well, I wasn't paid. I was going to do that project, but the salary wasn't right or the budget wasn't there or this other thing. It's like, well, you're doing it for the wrong reason. And I genuinely think that people oftentimes forget that, like, if you can just go around and make a lot of people happy and be helpful for other people, and then it will come back to you tenfold. And
I think it is important to know your value, and you should never work for free unless it's something for a cause or someone you really care about and you're deciding to do that on your own and that them asking you for it. But
it's the spirit.
It's the spirit, and also just being a great collaborator. Like, there's so many stories of people who, you know, like the Dark Igloo guys.
Yeah.
They were working on a project that wasn't that glamorous at MTV with this guy, Alex. And they were just like, hey, we just tried to stay really positive. We knew everybody else was feeling a lot of pressure and it was kind of stressful. So we just tried to be great collaborators. That guy ended up starting Giphy, and they ended up doing all the branding for Giphy. So it's like, just like make great connections, be great to work with, don't be an asshole. And then things come back to you.
Yeah, no, it's a perfect segue to sort of some topics here today, because I do think
can we take a break? Because
you want to take
just
5?
like a one. I gotta make sure the shit's
Okay, sorry. Can I just say one thing real quickly? Thank you, Justin. I think that spirit and that sort of mentality and that sort of way of thinking is how I always like to think about the studio, and I always like to think about my career. And I think it's sometimes, you know, it doesn't have enough people championing it and sort of spreading that idea. And it's just like, yeah, of course, if you go and help a lot of people, it's going to help you in the end.
Yeah.
And it's like, you just have to trust that.
Well, sometimes. I think that's how you've built the studio. Like, you know, we've done a project together for Working Not Working. And it's like, your whole team just came with a ton of energy, a ton of light, enthusiasm. And it was just like, hey, let's just have a blast and we're going to make some cool shit. And it's like, that's what we should just do. We should just do something that we're all psyched about and just make some cool shit.
You ever print that Steve Jobs poster?
Yeah,
make some cool shit. The Steve Jobs poster for Working Not Working. Yeah.
No, it's funny.
That one in
yesterday, I was trying to do some writing about like company values, which I find to be like the hardest thing in the world, and just like it's just like a mind block, because it's like, you know, giving yourself a haircut, and like, you know, I could do that for
it's very like much trying to do therapy on yourself.
It really is really hard, and I started looking up this guy Zig Ziglar, and he's got a lot of fucking gems.
Zig Ziglar.
Zig Ziglar.
Get it right.
Great name.
Great name.
Amazing name.
Yeah. Incredible bars of wisdom.
Good books.
But and so I just, you know, and enthusiasm came to the top of my list of things that I pride myself on, and I do think that is a word that's come up quite a bit here in this conversation. It's just something that I've been thinking about a lot, and just how that is many ways the key to any success that I've had, and obviously a lot of the success that you've had. And I think it's something that, like, you can feel it when it's there and you can feel it when it's not there. And it's the biggest difference for creatives. And so,
it's contagious. And like, you can't teach enthusiasm. You can't teach passion. And I think that's a big thing. You know, I talk to, and especially now we're going to start talking to students again. And I do a talk for schools called How Not to Get a Job in the Creative Industry. And just tell them all the ways they can blow it in their portfolio and interviews. But one of the biggest things is a lot of times people try to be the version of themselves that they think the interviewer or the company wants. instead of being who they really are.
Yeah.
So if you're really fucking nerdy about tie-dye t-shirts and that's what you're all about, then like let that shine. And because like that individuality is what makes you unique and what makes you special. And what happens is if you're trying to be some other version of yourself and they hire you on that, then you got to keep that lie up the entire time you're working there.
Yeah.
And you're going to be unhappy.
That's why Kevin wore a full Canadian tuxedo when he came in the first day, and he had the hair down. And he was just like, he walked in like he owned the place, and it was like, that guy.
And now he's the owner.
Now he runs this fucking
now it's
place.
called Kevin.
Center and Battori. No, and I again, like we could talk for hours and hours about your career, and I do want to get to some topics, but you brought us in for a BuzzFeed project. So when Center started,
I forgot about that.
We were still very small and very scrappy. It was like me, Kevin, Pete, Andrew, a bunch of white guys.
This is pre-me.
It was pre-Kevin, actually. Yeah, so this is like really early
it's like
days.
early days.
And you were like, hey, I am building a little bit of a super team to rebrand BuzzFeed. And it was sort of a working, not working adjacent project. And you're like, can you join this squad? And can you build a little team? And I was like, I already have built a working, not working team. I'll bring those people.
Yeah.
And you partner us up with Dark Igloo, who are David Mark and an amazing crew over there that do amazing work. And we kind of put our heads together and tried to figure out the future of BuzzFeed in like a week and a half.
Yeah.
And so
super quick.
Yes. So we don't need to get into it. We could talk a lot about it, what happened to it. We don't really need to know. On Monday of this week, Pepsi announced its giant rebrand. It's out there in the world, and so everyone can see it. It's the biggest story in design. Yeah, I have a lot of opinions, but one of the things that is interesting is that it is going to hit shelves next year, and they are finally going back to some of their original, really the iconic Pepsi mark. There's been a bunch of different logos, but they made a big mistake, and at least this was sort of part of our thinking at the time, was in 2008, they created what I would argue would be the greatest strategic rationale behind a design system, which was the gravitational pull of the Pepsi. And they created this mark that nobody liked.
Oh my God.
And they've decided finally to go back and rewrite history.
I think they needed to burn enough days where the cost per day of having that logo was under like at least $10,000 because they spent a lot of money apparently on that rebrand.
I think they needed to re-up that strategy. They needed to bring it to 2023. We need the gravitational pull. I think they fell a little short in that regard. Maybe a step backwards, making the brand a little smaller. They don't even have a gravitational pull anymore. So
we've got new explorations with space that they could have tapped into.
Right?
UAPs, a lot of stuff going on there that could be pulling.
And they just didn't.
They're not pulling at all.
Yeah. And so the gravitational pull, if you've not seen this deck, it's available to download on the internet. I don't know exactly where, but like go find it.
Oh my God.
And it has
I think it's just a Pepsi Arnell presentation.
Yeah.
And your mind will be blown.
Yeah.
And some hallucinogenics would really help get you through because they clearly were on it.
Yeah. And there's some really breathtaking charts, and that's what they call them, which is again is the perfect way to describe
got the golden
them.
ratio.
It's
the
so sick.
yin-yangs.
It's a work of art. It's the best piece of strategy that's ever been written.
Okay, hold on.
In the entire fucking history of design.
Can we talk about design strategy?
Sure.
So I've never been on the inside of these places doing these things. You have clearly.
Yes.
Maybe this isn't good for your business to admit this. But this is all bullshit made up later, right?
No. Are you kidding me?
Absolutely not.
Post-rationalization.
No, wrong.
It goes...
This is
you always start at 3000 BC.
Yeah, you got to go back to move forward. That's the key about brand strategy. You always have to look in the past to look towards the future. And so what Pepsi did is they went all the way back, to prehistoric time.
That's gravity, baby.
MSR moment. Hold on, I'm going to open up the draft cola Pepsi.
So Justin was so kind to bring us some gifts here today, and has brought a selection of Pepsi, and is going to open up a Nitro Pepsi here on the
I've
pod.
never had this, but these are like historical cans now, so I thought you could have them as collector's items.
Yeah.
All right.
They're
Here we
so
go.
great.
Ready? AMSR.
Wow.
Oh, it's going.
It is now spilling all over the place.
Not on a rug.
Yeah, not on our rug. Absolutely needs to get cleaned.
It's fine.
It's totally fine.
There's
Don't
much
worry about
stains
it.
You got paper towels?
Yeah, we got paper towels.
We'll get it. We'll
get that later.
All right.
So Justin's opening up a Nitro Pepsi. We actually talked about this on the program.
I thought this
You
would
gotta-
have coffee
you gotta
in it.
hard
It doesn't?
pour it. No. You just got to hard pour it.
Really?
Yeah, you gotta sort of.
Oh, get that head.
Yeah, it's sort of like a Guinness meets
Yeah.
Pepsi
Okay.
proposition.
I thought it was going to have coffee and it doesn't.
No, it's just nitro.
It's just a way in
Oh,
which
so it
it's
has a little ball in it like
carbonated.
Guinness does.
Yeah, it's just the nitrogen
Oh, wow.
gas or whatever.
Oh, I
Yeah.
had no idea.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was getting
You
into.
ever have
there.
Coke? You ever have Coke coffee? Coke coffee.
No. Is it good?
It's great. Yeah.
Wow.
What do you want to try real quick here on the program? I've had it before. I'm
That's right.
I'm
Do you
down.
want me to pour some for you? Or?
Yeah,
Is it-
I don't know. My glass. Oh,
You hit it.
I hit it. Here, yeah, pour me some. I don't need to try it right now to know that it tastes like sort of flat Pepsi.
It says smooth, creamy, easy to drink.
Flat.
Yeah,
AKA
a
flat.
flat. Yeah,
This is like what your mom would give you when you're sick.
Yeah,
Cheers.
exactly. Cheers. Yeah, or if you go to like a restaurant and their tap doesn't have enough like carbonation.
Oh, it does taste flat. Well, because like Pepsi normally is a little spicy.
Yeah, I'm
My
a
mom used to
Coca-Cola guy.
Oh, so am I. My mom used to drink Pepsi every morning.
My mom drinks Diet Pepsi.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and even for the 10 years I worked at Coke, Diet Pepsi, loyalist.
Come on.
Shit runs
no,
deep.
No. That's
That's loyalty.
That's brand loyalty.
Be authentic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
So that strategy deck was insane. The new branding, I think everyone feels good when we tap back into nostalgia and the things we knew younger. I don't know if the typeface necessarily goes with that nostalgia, but you know, I like an attempt there.
Yes.
But going back to the 1904 Pepsi Cola logo,
Oh, yeah,
What were
that's
they
the
thinking?
best.
holy shit! That's
Yeah.
like Hunter S. Thompson.
No, it's so fucked. It's so great.
It's
Yeah,
amazing. Like someone was definitely out of their mind making that because
when
they
they
must have had some actual Coca-Cola with cocaine
Oh,
in
hell
it,
yeah.
and then made the Pepsi Cola logo.
Yeah. When are they gonna bring that back?
Yeah, that is the best logo that Pepsi's ever had. When we did this,
I think you can.
project.
I think you can find that Coke in Greenpoint. Yeah.
Look at that. Yeah. Look at the original Pepsi Cola logo,
my
and go
God.
find that because it rules.
Insane. Don't you
But-
put the stuff in the show notes?
Yeah, we do.
Link
We
to
do.
it.
And you
Yeah,
can look
that'd
that
be
up.
great.
And we'll also put it on YouTube if you're watching there. So you'll see
YouTube.
sort of all the logos in the history. And here's what I'll say about the new Pepsi branding. They got it like 90% right. They went back to the big thing that they needed to do was put that go back to the original disc logo. I'm sure they have a name for it, but like where Pepsi is inside of the wave, it's inside of the red and blue sort of circle. And they did that. They went back to sort of the glory years of the 80s and 90s.
They smoothed it out a little bit. Yeah.
And they simplified it a little bit, and then they made it nice and big. The only thing that people are giving them a hard time about, which I absolutely do agree, is that the lettering, the word mark, is a bit, it's a little sharp.
Yeah, it's a little chunky.
They brought in this like very hard-lined I that is giving me a little bit of pause. It's just a little too fussy
goes right into
for
the S,
me.
Alex.
It goes right into the S. I get that, but it just feels like. Maybe they just needed some gravitational pull. Is the gravitational pull here happening on the typeface?
They have this has no pull.
Maybe it
But
feels
god
like,
damn, it's an improvement.
No, it is the right
Look at that
decision.
Look at the last two.
Yeah, no, it is a real nightmare.
2000s, like remember when everything had water drops in the logo?
Yeah, no,
Like
and
that is crazy.
I think they made the right move. They just made it like 10 years too late. I think they should have done this a long time ago. And
Yeah.
I think it looks solid. I think the funny part that people also have been noticing is that Pepsi has some really great packaging in their sort of archives. They really do have some
script is
some
pretty
really
damn
great
good.
cans, like this one that kind of was in the 80s and sort of 90s was really
That's
really
very
good.
similar.
Yeah,
It's just giving that a little refresh.
yeah, they have some really good ones.
The black is pretty harsh though in the new logo.
Yeah, that's the thing that I don't also agree with totally.
Because like if you're trying to be the anti-red, like doubling down on the blue really helps.
Yeah,
Look at that Diet Pepsi can.
What does it look like, Alex?
It looks
Describe
exactly like
for the
this.
listeners.
Yeah, it's if you've seen the sort of Pepsi logo sort of being sort of reverberated, I guess, or sort of looks like wavelengths or sort of music, sort of an amplification, and it's one of my favorite.
It's got lines going through it.
Yeah, it's
got-
really sick.
Oh man, that's so nice.
Yeah, there's also this
That old
can in
script
the
is really
90s
nice,
Is
yeah.
really interesting. So I just think there's so much stuff in the
The
Pepsi
neon Pepsi can.
archives.
I
They've done
remember that.
some really cool stuff over the years. And the worst can design of the entire history is the one that they have in market right now.
Yeah.
And so they almost could have went back to the archives and picked any one of these cans, and they would have.
And they probably will. Like everyone loves the retro shit now. Like
Yeah.
bring it back for your brand.
Yeah.
Nostalgia is always good.
Yes. And so they got it
Sells.
right. And so I will say shout out to them, but There's a couple details. I don't love the black, and I don't love the
If
typeface.
someone could just turn that black to blue and see how it looks, that'd be really helpful. I like the bolder blue.
Yeah,
It's a bit Dodger blue.
yeah. Shout out to Pepsi, and shout out to them for genuinely making the right decision here, and like kind of going back. And I think it's tough, right? When you make a big brand decision to go with a new logo, with the gravitational pull of the moon, and then you put it on the side of MetLife Stadium, and like you create these like huge signage moments, and this is a global brand, so to go back it's not as easy as like, oh, we're gonna go back to our old logo. You have to like, it's a lot of work, millions and millions and millions of dollars to just like start even the transition away. Like there'll be some old Pepsi logos in the market for decades, really. And so I do think I understand from a giant corporation perspective to be like, it's not as easy as just saying, oh yeah, let's go back to this old logo. But I think to sort of have the courage to finally say, okay, this thing is, it's not the brand that people remember. It's not the brand that people love. And, I think the logo that they are referencing, or sort of the modernization of this new version, is the right logo, even if some of the details are a little wonky.
I'm just going to point out that you are
fully Pepsi.
You're fully Pepsi Blue right now.
I know. And for me, like, coming from Coke and then working on Pepsi was, to be honest, was a huge treat, just because I do think that brand is the second best soda company in the world. And
I'd say third.
Coke Zero, Sprite.
No. Coke. We got United Sodas of America. Sorry, United Sodas of America. One.
Yeah. Cut that whole part. Kevin, whatever I was saying about ranking them.
Yeah.
Come on, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. United Sodas of America, Coke,
and then
RC Cola,
Coke Zero, Zevia. There's a long list.
Pepsi
and then
Clear.
Pepsi. Yeah, but no, I mean, listen, I think
Crystal Pepsi. Sorry.
I think the only thing that's interesting to me is that the entire internet is like, it's like a tempered congratulations. It's like you came really close to nailing this.
But how often?
Know what I mean?
How often do we see a rebrand on this scale really go over well?
Burger King?
Oh yeah, you're right.
Sprite.
I mean, Sprite was smaller.
Even the new 7-Up's pretty nice.
Oh, new 7-Up bangs.
Yeah. New 7-Up.
But it's hard to do.
Oh, it's really hard to do. And I'm not taking anything away from these people and anyone who worked on this project, because I know firsthand how hard it is.
A lot of cooks in that kitchen.
A lot of cooks, lots of things. And so to get it 90% right is a massive achievement. And I think the internet and people are generally like saying like, this is good. It's just like, it's not the like slam dunk that I think it could have been in just like a couple
and it
quick
might
moves.
evolve. There might be a couple of things that evolve. Who knows?
What would be the slam dunk? Like bringing back that older type?
I think so. I just think the type is a little weird, and I think that black is a little heavy. But again,
if that type just went blue, if someone can just Photoshop that, I think it's going to make a big improvement.
I need to see it in person. I do really love the cherries. Like that, the cherry design is really fun and kind of does remind me of some of the like 90s-ish fun package design. So I do think,
and there's some generally
it's
nice
more
and clean.
Fun. Yeah. And it's also just, it has a little bit more energy. And I think ultimately this is the right decision. And I think I'm glad that they made it, and I'm happy that it's out there.
Bring back the gravity though. We need the gravitational
gravity.
pull.
I think everyone's got to just use their own psychedelics of choice and look at this can, and it'll gravity up.
Yeah. So we have some details on it. We're going to just keep moving, but it was done in house, and this sort of vagueness of sort of again how it came to be, but it's really good. And moving on, New York City gets a rebrand
for the second time.
For the second time in a month, New York City.
I thought this was a correction when I first saw it. They were like, "Oh, we really fucked up with We Love New York. We got a New York City logo."
Yeah,
but it's a totally different ball game.
Yeah, so maybe the two of the more iconic New York City branding marks, which is I Heart NY and NYC and Company, or NYC Go, got rebranded in the same month. So we're talking about New York City Tourism and Conventions is sort of the marketing organization that
Do you think they were aware that they both were doing this at the same time?
It's a great question.
Have to be.
I think Mayor Adams came in and
How great does New York City Tourism and Conventions feel that they did this second?
They probably are upset.
No, I think they're happy.
You think
they come in and people go like, "Oh, thank God, this is
got a lot
terrible."
of heat off.
Oh no,
Yeah.
I take back what I said. You're 100% right. If this had come out first, I think people would be up in arms, be like, "How dare you?" Because I do think this mark is really nice, the original one. I think New Yorkers do like it. I don't think they have the affinity that they have for the Milton Glaser.
It's a good one.
If you asked me what's the NYC and company mark, I would not be able to tell you.
Really?
Until I saw this, I'm like, oh yeah, it's that like it's
chunky
and bled out.
Yeah, it's on every.
They left their
taxi.
Sharpie on the page too long.
It's on every taxi, and
Yeah.
so I do see it a lot, and I think it's, to be honest, it doesn't have the history that the sort of Milton Glaser mark does, but I do think New Yorkers like. We appreciate this mark. I don't know. I think there's an affinity for it, and maybe
solid.
it's not like, maybe if it was around for another 30, 40 years, I think maybe people would be sort of up in arms about it changing. But they did change it, and there's a new company, so it has a new name. New York City Tourism and Conventions really rolls off the tongue.
It flows.
Yeah. And I guess the idea is that it's dedicated to sort of maximizing travel and tourism opportunities throughout the 5 boroughs, building economic prosperity and spreading the positive image of New York City worldwide, which I think is interesting, right? Because we were talking about the Marketing Alliance campaign and like all that work, which is like, it's trying to help New Yorkers, and then this is about tourism, and it's just like, these two things coming at it right around the same time feels very bizarre. I don't know. It just feels like Mayor Adams came in.
We're redoing the whole damn city.
Yeah.
He's like, hey,
whole refresh.
First day on the job. He's like, okay, let me see all these logos. let me see all these brand systems.
Hey, Son 8 sitting right. Let's go.
Finally, a mayor with his priorities in line.
Graphic design.
He's just really catering to us.
So,
pandering, really.
Yeah.
This new identity was done by 2x4. I believe they had done the original one, so I think they were sort of.
No, I think someone else did.
Oh, really? Is that true?
In my research, I think it was.
Your research is. I didn't do much research.
I forget. Was it Wolf Owens?
Oh, you're right. It was Wolf Owens that did the original.
Sorry, I
one.
read through this.
Yeah, no. This is why we send.
How
people
dare you?
You sent me research.
Yeah, how dare you?
I my first reaction to this is it feels a little, and I don't hate it. It feels a little bringing the noise, bringing the funk.
Yeah, a
And
little West Side Story.
Public theater. That wasn't that Pentagram. And
I think it's
Yes.
freaking tough. New York, you got to be tough to make it here.
And
what's tougher than stenciled type?
Yeah, it does have a little bit.
The stencil
of
type thing is a little
attitude.
funny, but I do like some of the lines that the through line on the E to the O
That's
to
good.
the T is nice. The diagonal line from the W to the K is nice. So they have good alignment going on. It's nice and clean. It's got some like cool letter forms that are maybe not expected in a stencil type.
Yeah.
A
If
little
you love
R.
grids,
Yeah, that
you're
R
gonna
is real nice.
Yeah, R is nice. The C is kind of funky. So it's definitely evolving some stuff. I got to say, my most favorite part of all of this. And
Locks pink.
I fucking love the color palette.
Yeah, the color palette rules.
The color palette with the pictures against it. Okay, I looked at this and maybe all right. So I moved out of Brooklyn.
Was that the right answer?
I've lived in
the color palette.
the color palette.
Okay,
I lived in New York for 24 years. I moved here in 1998. I moved out of New York full time at the end of January to go to the Catskills for a few months. We're just hibernating and chilling out, and then we're going to get an apartment back here. But I saw this, and so maybe I'm like nostalgic already for my 2 months of missing New York.
Got it. Yeah.
But I'm like,
yeah.
fuck, that coffee cup blue is amazing. The Ferry orange. I'm like, yeah, you really have the Subway green. All of it, just the thank you bag red.
It's good.
I'm
Good
like,
stuff.
all of it just really resonates with my heart, and it feels good. And then all of the complimentary, like Locks Pink and Liberty Green and Skyline Blue, sure. That's maybe the biggest stretch. Rockaway Sand feels fun though, but like all of it, I was like, yeah, that feels New York.
Yeah. As a
This
Jewish,
made me really excited.
as a Jewish New Yorker, I feel really seen with the Locks Pink.
Yeah.
No, I do love this stuff. And when you talk about brand strategy and post rationalization,
I love this one.
Yeah.
This is the first one in history of like.
yeah. Strategy sometimes is really an important part of brand building, and obviously sometimes it can be overblown and over intellectualized. But sometimes you are working on a palette and you're like, I need something to draw inspiration from, and maybe sometimes you have a palette and you're like, oh, that's kind of feels like Taxi Yellow, and then you're like, well, that's blue. We bring in a blue. That's kind of like the coffee cup, and then you're just like, okay, cool. Off to
What
the
else?
races. Like, what
And then
else?
Ferry orange. I'm like, oh shit, that's right.
Yeah, I do think this
So
is a
good.
little bit of your like, I just moved out of New York and like I'm living outside the city kind of nostalgia.
Yeah.
Hitting just right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And to be fair, I've been in New York pretty much once every 2 weeks for the past 2 months.
but no, I do think there's a sense of like when you live here or when you like sort of move away from it, it's like, man, New York City, you know, that's the greatest city in the world.
I'm going to say
New York gritty.
New York gritty.
Runway Black is kind of bullshit.
Yeah, no, there's
that's the only one I was like, really?
Rockaway Sand.
I'm like, like this.
They should
The
have called
city
it
at night.
Yeah, Never Sleep in Black. Or
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah. Nighttime black. No, it is. I do think overall it's really nice. I do think the sort of like what I like about it is the sort of the street grid
Yep.
and sort of using that as a as a type system and sort of bringing that through the logo.
The walk signal with the logo on it is pretty cool too.
Oh,
yeah,
I
it's
want to see that. Is that a thing where you can
no,
do
that's
that?
a great mock-up. No.
Little LEDs
They
on
need
the walk
to. They need
signals
to make it
with messaging would be
make
cool.
it real.
Yeah, no. So I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and I think it's a nice mark. I think there isn't as much affinity, like I said before, for the original mark. So I don't think people are going to.
They're not really bringing it through to the poster though. That poster is just kind of like I'm missing a little bit of that in the typeface. It just feels. Yeah. I don't know if I need stencil everywhere, but like maybe a little more of that. But
it's a lot of stencil.
Yeah, a lot of stencil.
I also don't know how well this scales down. I hate to be a weirdo like that, but like, you know, it gets really small.
Yeah,
Those
you
lines
fucking
are a little
weirdo.
tricky.
I want to
talking
see
about-
the
are you talking about
graffiti art.
fonts?
I want to see the graffiti artist that just starts tagging this everywhere, just to really piss the city off with their own vandalism.
Yeah.
You made it a stencil, bro.
Yeah. I mean,
Well, I got a stencil. Stencil got a stencil.
my favorite part is to read the brand new comment section. Shout out to Armin, who, people, you're never going to believe it, but they're not really feeling this. But I do think you're completely right about the timing of this thing. If this had come out 2 months ago, I think people would be up in arms. After the sort of I love NY or we love NYC debacle, this is like, this is just it's just the perfect time to slide this one.
I'm going to say something that might be controversial.
Yeah.
A lot of people complain that the city changes. They complain. How many friends I have, like, I don't know, it's just not the same anymore. That bar isn't here anymore. That's not. And I'm like, no fucking shit. This whole city is built on change. It's the thing that is the DNA of New York is that it never stays the same. It's never content. It's never complacent. It's constantly going to be tearing shit down and building shit up. And it's never going to be the same. So like, we can't be too precious about all of this branding and shit because like, it's just part of who we are and what this is all about. Like you go and leave for 2 months and I come back and my old neighborhood's got like 4 new weed shops and it's totally different.
Zaza Depot. I love the Zaza-fication of New York City. It's awesome.
Zaza or us.
Wait, what is Zaza?
It's weed.
So it's Zaza is like a nickname
Exotic.
for weed, and I wasn't aware of this. Kevin brought this to my attention.
He's
But
so cool.
for whatever reason, though, because like in New York City, you can't call it like Weed Depot or like
right.
Weed or Us or something. So,
Yeah.
but Zaza has taken has become the number one slang term.
Well, it's like it came from drill rap, so
Oh, okay, yeah.
Is that true? So
Yeah.
but I guess it got approved. It's cleared to put on a sign in the street. I guess.
Oh, that's cool.
So every single place is Zaza City, Zaza. Or
Oh,
Us,
I gotta take a look for this. But
you gotta just take a gander at all the new
All right.
shops there,
and they all call it
they've got-
Zaza.
they've got amazing
so
design.
good, Zaza Diner.
Yeah.
We also speaking of Jeff Greenspan, who we mentioned earlier, who had a lot of great projects. He helped name a weed shop in Union Square called the Union Square Travel Agency.
Oh,
wow.
It's like, ooh, I like that.
that's really nice.
That sounds nice.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, no, the weedification of New York is really funny to see. And
That's too much.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, but I do think this branding, Justin, I have to disagree with you there. Designers, we have to complain about things like this. This is like
Grow up.
like a part of our
Grow
DNA.
the fuck up.
This is like everything we stand for.
Ah,
This is like we have to freak out. We have to throw a temper tantrum. We
Also-
gotta design it better.
And why is it that we always have to shit on everybody else's work?
Well,
It's like trying to make
'Cause
us
we're
feel better.
assholes.
Yeah, because
about
we're
our own-
better.
Yeah.
We're better than they are.
That's how it's just
we would have done
bullying.
it. We would have done it better.
It's bullying. No, you wouldn't have. You would have had the same fucking clients they had, and you would have made the same shit.
No, we're different.
Yeah,
No,
West
we're
Side Story.
different.
It's a little bit like that too.
Yeah,
but like,
We're built
the same
different.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're built different. We
we're
would have
built
done
different. We're four tough.
Yeah. We would have dominated those clients and changed their
Yeah.
opinions and
Yeah.
actually gotten something much better out into the world.
Yeah.
No, I like this. I like this
Yeah.
new stuff.
Yeah.
It's good, and I don't really give a. I'm not a fucking font weirdo like y'all, but you know.
Wait.
Ice
We haven't
tea.
talked about Font Weirdo yet.
Yeah. Ice-T dropped the greatest tweet of all
Wait, can
time.
we just read that? Let's get to that.
Yeah, we forgot about that. So Ice-T tweeted, "I do not give a flying fuck about fonts. Weirdo shit."
Okay, first of all, how am I not wearing a weirdo shit hat right now? I thought you guys would have one ready for me when I came in.
Damn.
Weirdo shit in Comic Sans, because I had to read what this was all about. But basically, he put a quote out there in Comic Sans, and someone said, "Yo, bro, that font you got to use impact." I don't even know why that guy was like, "You got to use impact, bro." And then he goes, "I do not give a flying fuck about fonts. Weirdo shit." I'm like, can we just make a weirdo shit hat?
First off, that's facts.
Yeah,
And second of all, how
legend.
dare anyone online shame the use of Comic Sans? No.
Yeah, no.
Comic Sans is back. It's back in a big way. Stop with the Comic Sans shaming. It's
I did
bullshit.
a Working Out Working logo in Comic Sans on a dad hat, and it was just like, it really
It hits. It always hits.
I love this tweet so much, and when I first saw it, and I was like, I really hope this is real. And then I went on his Twitter page, which is Final Level for some reason. That's his like Twitter handle. And it was like, right there at the top, it said, I do not give a flying fuck about fonts. And I just knew that the design community was, some people are actually like offended by this.
No,
I just thought this was, it's
on.
just like,
Stop being a baby.
Just Jesus
it's
Christ.
iced tea. He doesn't,
he's got
he doesn't
other
have to
shit
give
to
a
worry
fuck.
about.
Yeah, he doesn't have to give a fuck about fonts.
He's fucking iced tea.
Wait, can we just put this as tweets from other people? Can we just make this like a Michael Beirut tweet?
Yeah, no, this is the best tweet. I have seen some weirdo shit designs, some like logos and stuff that you could potentially put on a hat, but like I think this is incredible. And shout out to Ice-T. We posted a meme on our Instagram page, and he liked it.
Oh, that's good. Nice.
Yeah. So
the validation is all you need.
I felt really good about it.
Hell yeah.
We're this is the peak.
Yeah. I don't know where we go from
We gotta
this.
shut it down.
It's so
It's never
good.
gonna get better than this.
But it's like, I love how someone also put like his face on a black background in like nice serif type. This tweet.
Yeah, I hope this doesn't
so
start like a wave of like celebrities or people trying to like use graphic design to get attention, because I feel like anytime
I disagree. That would be really good for our brand.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
I take that back. That would be really good for our show.
Everyone trying to boost their own brand by graphic design. Terrible for design agency.
I think this actually would be good. If I was a celebrity PR person, I'd be like, hey, actually, anytime a celebrity talks about graphic design, like there's this giant community of people that like either love it or hate it, because like Kanye said something about a font once, and like it's like printed on a million things. John Mayer mentioned fonts on something, and like they're just like anytime any celebrity or anyone that has notoriety is like talks
just
about
acknowledge
this,
that
we
the
exist.
things that we do exist.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
It just is.
Can someone, and if it's not you guys here, somebody who's listening, one of the 10 of you,
yes,
can you please design an Ice-T typeface now?
That would be actually a really good
Like,
idea.
what is the Ice-T font for someone who doesn't give a flying fuck about fonts?
That's a great idea. See, this is Justin's.
But it could be like, it could have multiple different styles in it. If you really don't care, it just could be a mismatch, like a little bit like a ransom note. It could be only made up of Windows 95 fonts, but it's like just a haggard bunch of them together.
Yeah. No, it's true. We need. He needs his own typeface.
Yes.
I don't know why I said it like that. Typeface. It's a great tweet and a great moment in graphic design history. And so shout out to him. I know you got to get out of here just quickly.
We'll give a few more. Yeah.
Heinz and Absolut paired up together.
Nostalgia.
Heinz came out with a tomato vodka pasta sauce. And to sort of announce that, they partnered up with the most famous vodka brand, which is Absolut, and brought back some of those like 80s, 90s advertisements, which obviously all featured the silhouette of the bottle with Heinz in front of it. So, Justin, famous ad campaign.
This is such an ad nerd.
Guy.
Such an ad
How do you
nerd
feel?
layup, and just like pandering to the highest degree. Like,
Yes.
I think for people who grew up in advertising or, big fans of it, this will resonate. I don't know if the general public like knows or loves that campaign as much as all of us dorks do.
Yeah.
But I really liked it, and I was like, oh, that's cool. That's good. That's good that they brought it back. All right, good. It's just something you missed.
Totally. It's one of the greatest ad campaigns of all time.
Yeah.
And you're right. Ad guys and people that appreciate advertising.
So it's vodka sauce?
It's vodka sauce. So
yeah.
that's the
That's
sort
cool.
of concept. And it works. I don't know if it works like tremendously. Kevin always gives me crap because I always say things are like good but not great.
Yeah.
Like it's always like
You could have went further.
But I also hate that
Push a
like
little
it
bit
has
more.
to be either like a slam dunk or garbage. And the truth is most things land somewhere in the middle.
It could be a layup.
But
it could be a mid-range
Yeah.
jumper.
I think
That's
the
it.
intention of this is great.
floater.
It's a floater from the paint. I do think this is like a fairly easy win, right? Because you're just tapping into something that people love.
We need the
Well, you
bloody.
can't overthink it either.
We need the Bloody Mary mix now.
Oh,
Yeah.
now we're
Canned cocktails.
at Heinz.
Yeah.
Canned cocktail, Bloody Mary mix.
Yeah.
Smart, man.
I'm into this. I definitely would like to try it. I definitely think it listen, it got attention.
Because if they were going to launch it without Absolut,
yeah.
it's kind of like whatever. It's just vodka sauce. But like to do it with Absolut was super smart. And then you have that heritage to tap into.
Oh yeah,
I
I'm
can't
sure.
believe I just used heritage. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Thanks,
I'm sure that the canned Bloody Mary's coming.
Yeah.
It's got to be.
If not, we're putting it out in the universe. I don't even like Bloody Marys, but I want to see it happen.
I also like how they took the Heinz sort of packaging and made it blue. That feels like a nice little nod to Absolut.
Oh, yeah.
And so, yeah, I just feel like this is a job well done. And yeah, maybe pandering to Justin and I a little bit. But I think, listen.
It's a couple of geezers.
Yeah, just a bunch of guys. Admin.
Back in the day when things were really visual, not overcomplicated with that.
Yeah, these new digital ads, fucking pre-rolls. Back in my day, I drank a scotch and went to work and, we came up with good ideas.
And we drew it in a Sharpie, transparent, tracing paper.
Tracing paper.
We put a square on the border so you knew it was going to be an ad.
You have to really sell an idea.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Kevin's looking at us like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? Like, that's what you had to do. You did marker comps with Sharpies.
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations. You played with markers all day.
Yeah.
You seen Mad Men, right?
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
Justin and I.
Yeah, that's pretty much.
Yeah.
Wait, let's get to the twisted tea.
Yeah,
This is an
okay.
idea I feel like I would have had.
So this is the most important idea we have to talk about here today.
And it doesn't even feel real because that looks like clearly a comp.
The worst comp I've ever seen. And I will say,
It's so good.
We got to introduce it, which is it's Twisted Tea Vasectiomundies, right? Am I saying that right?
I don't know. It's a mouthful.
It's got to be.
According to urologists, March is the busiest time of the year for vasectomies. First and foremost, where does that stat come
So
from?
good.
Urologists.
Well, it's got a link. It's got
Yeah.
a link, so it's got to be true.
Okay, some doctors. I didn't click that link yet. Yeah, shout out to Kevin for the preparation, and for me for not doing my homework. Some doctors report up to 30% increases this time of year, with patients saying that they're scheduled the procedure to coincide with March Madness. Recovery after a vasectomy requires a few days of rest and no strenuous activity, making it a perfect excuse to sit on the couch and watch sports balls while on the mend.
That's a Rudy. That's a Rudy line.
Oh, is this
right
from the
there.
Die Line?
Yeah.
Shout out to the Die Line, the best packaging
Smart
website in the
balls.
world. Twisted Tea is helping the recently snipped
Okay.
comfortably recover while watching the action on the hardwood this March Madness with specifically designed underwear called Vasectiomundies. The unique pair of boxers include 2 integrated pockets designed to hold cans of Twisted Tea. Guys on the injury list can ice their sore nuggets hands-free and make fewer trips to the fridge for a cold beverage. Justin, what do you think of this?
I love it. It's so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And it makes me so happy with how idiotic it is.
Yeah.
I love dumb shit, but actually, like, I've had friends who've gone through this and they're like,
Really?
yeah, it's super painful and it's not very comfortable and you do have to ice them. So if you're going to go and ice them, this is a great way to keep your nads cool, but not a great way to keep your Twisted Tea cool because you're putting it at the warmest part of your body, which I learned in Little League. In your pants is always 98.6 degrees.
Oh, wow.
So if you're cold and you're out in the field, you put your hands to warm them up in your underpants. So
Justin walked into the studio with 2 Twisted Teas in his
Tall
pants, tall boys, sort of icing down his nether regions.
yeah, we got to open these.
Yeah, you got to.
I got the half and half if you want to.
Yes. So I'm. I got to finish my Pepsi, but yeah, for sure. So I'm looking at the research. We got Dr. Ackerman, who's a radiation oncologist, said his office is already seeing a spike in patients coming in for effective surgery. Patients that we are seeing within our practice around this time of year, many of them bring up the fact that it's March Madness and NCAA tournament. So these are pretty smart men here, knowing that they're going to be a little bit out of work potentially. And so they're timing it just right so they can watch as much basketball as possible.
It's really funny.
It's great. I mean, the first 2 days of the tournament, it's all fucking day.
Yeah, it's like 12 to I think 9 or 10 p.m. So
It's great.
I think if you're gonna do something that's silly and you're gonna tap into an insight, like this is a way to do it. And going back to us is like talking about just putting ideas out there. I don't even know if they actually made these based on this comp, or they're making them as people are getting them. I don't know.
The absolute worst comp in the history of comps.
And it's basically
looks
this 2 pockets that are on the front of the boxers, and then you're supposed to slide the cans in there. Sure.
So you're supposed to be on these pain meds and be drinking Twisted Teas.
Yeah, exactly.
'Cause surely you're getting a little.
A little loopy.
Yeah, a little something off the prescription shelf.
Yeah, and I think what they're missing here is the nickname of your painkillers with a twisted T. But it does say on the boxers itself in giant, bold, italic type, keep it twisted. So maybe they are just alluding to you having a hell of a time watching these games.
If I just got snipped, I don't think I want to keep it twisted. You know what I'm saying? It seems like poor medical advice.
It's actually the opposite of what you got done.
Yeah,
Wow.
you gotta keep them in line.
Yeah, you got need
Lord.
these pockets hold 12-ounce cans of twisted tea near and dear to your tea bags, icing and
wow.
soothing to help you recover from, quote, cutting down the nets.
Wow.
Just insert a couple of
Masterclass.
cold cans, lay back and relax.
See, they had fun with this. Know what this reminds me of?
Yeah,
We might have to cut this.
yeah.
But did they ever make it? Did BuzzFeed ever make BuzzFeed?
No. Our greatest idea.
That was the greatest idea that came to the meeting was BuzzFeed.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
I've seen it.
Slides. We have the original drawing.
Is
here.
it framed?
Yeah, I don't think it's framed, but it's
It
kept
deserves to be.
in storage for framing purposes. Yeah, for sure.
So good.
This is an incredible merch extension. I feel like Twisted Tea has come out with some things. They
had a big moment last year where it was like that gas station moment, and there was something was said.
I don't even know what a gas station moment is.
It was like security footage at a gas station, and I think there was something said. One customer said something else to another customer, and they took a Twisted Tea and like, pop, just hit them smash it right over their head.
It is a funny brand, and it's
And
like,
it got a lot of play off of that.
and there should be like more shame with drinking it, but there's none. Like I have so many friends who are like, yeah, man, I love Twisted Tea.
Can I tell you something?
like, okay.
I've never had a Twisted Tea.
This is my first one.
This is my first one, and
They're delicious.
it's pretty terrible.
Can you pass me the?
Yeah, the half and half is.
half?
I don't think it's as good as the regular one.
Oh, the half and half one is
Try the
gross.
regular one.
I maybe need to try the regular one. Yeah, it's a really interesting brand because the sales of it are huge.
Yeah.
It's an absolute monster.
Wait,
in
try
terms,
this. You
yeah,
won't taste any of it.
Well, I mean, you could just,
yeah.
I could have.
Drink out of the can. It's fine.
And it's not an iconic brand.
No, the packaging is kind of
Packaging
terrible.
is terrible, but
The half and half's not as good.
It's not as good.
no, it's bad.
Try the regulars.
One of the
Sip it
things
down.
about it that I do like is that it truly doesn't give a fuck. It just has that sort of energy of like,
Yeah.
we're not here to try to impress you, graphic designers.
It's like
We're not
the
here to-
cargo shorts of beverages.
Yeah. it's-
I mean, look at these. They put images on this can.
Yeah,
Of like
just a couple
Jason,
bros.
Yeah, Jason S. from Zanesville, Ohio, in a pool float.
I feel like the
that
two of
rules.
you, if you start going hard on the Twisted,
yeah.
you'd be a big sponsorship opportunity. Here.
I would love to get an alcohol brand
too.
sponsorship.
Me
Also,
too.
I'd love to get a DraftKings.
Yeah.
Oh, DraftKings.
Yeah, I got some action on the
we get a
Miami Hurricanes this weekend.
You get $100 in free bets with the promo code Front and Center.
Yeah,
Someday.
we're ready
Someday.
to do the ads. Yeah, but
I love me some gambling.
Oh, me too.
Justin's a big gambler. Yeah,
Hell yeah.
bachelor party. I remember Justin.
Darren's bachelor party. Yeah.
Oh, it was Darren. It wasn't your bachelor party.
Yeah.
It was Darren's. Yeah. Kevin.
Yeah, I'm leaving him hanging for the fist bump. Get that, YouTube.
Yeah. A big moment. No, so this
Couple
sold
guys like
out.
gambling.
First set of drops sold out, but get it, come back to our last drop on April 1st, 2020.
I don't know if they needed the button there. Was
Yeah, that copywriting really. Yeah, but yes,
They did
apparently,
good with cutting down the nets, but butt has nothing to do with balls.
Yeah. So if you are you're hearing this and you're like, man, I really want to get these, I guess it's too late. But it's a brilliant idea and
March Madness is over,
Look at the
so-
last line. All Vasectiomundies shipped by 420.
yeah, I mean,
They're really
Hell
deliberate
yeah.
with this.
opportunity to tie in the Zaza.
How does they not have a Twisted Tea with CBD or THC yet?
I mean, they really are just rocking.
We're really good at coming up with line extensions.
I mean, Twisted Tea, I don't think they need much advice from us. I think they're just rocking and absolutely.
I think you gotta like do it. It's a DIY situation.
Yeah.
This and a blunt.
Yeah, I think Twisted Tea. If you need ever considering a rebrand, come to
Yeah,
Center.
no, I mean, listen, we'd love
We
to
would
do it,
love
but
to.
in some ways, I almost think
I don't think it
like,
needs it,
it
though.
doesn't need
I'm
it.
gonna say something. I'm gonna look around here. It doesn't need it, but like I don't know if any of your work is as silly as all of you are.
Oh, that's fair.
And I think you need some opportunities for even more silliness.
We gotta be
appreciate
doing
it.
You're
some
really
shit,
like
yeah.
you guys are a bunch of goofballs. We make really
silly
fucking beautiful
gooses.
work.
Thank you. Yeah, we try to we try to keep the silly gooseness to the pod. But yeah, I mean, listen, we
We should be sillier.
we should be sillier in our work, but I think we bring it at
Well, I think-
at the appropriate times. And I think
It's
sometimes
about the appropriate times and appropriate brands. For
yeah,
sure.
and some brands appreciate our silliness, and some brands are not interested, and we have to evaluate that upon
Totally.
upon kickoff. But no, we
More
are
silly clients.
Yeah, I think we love to, we leave this silly ad stuff to the ad guys. We're in the brand building world, but I agree. I think more
You're selling
brands need to
yourself
be
short.
more silly, have more personality,
Yeah.
have more fun, and the spirit of sort of the whether it's 80s or 90s or 2000s before things got very sort of capitalized.
Yeah, if you want a good pun joke, you guys got that.
Yeah,
You've
we got it all.
Nonsense, joy, delight, whatever you want.
Wow.
I'm gonna house this fucking Twisted Tea.
Yeah.
I'm getting twisted.
Kevin's gonna be twisted.
I think if
gonna-
you work this hard with four iPhones borrowed from your coworkers, setting it
Santa's-
all up, getting all the angles. You guys really should post this view because there's like one that has a case with a smiling face on it,
That's Hannah's, yeah.
and it's below.
You want to take a picture?
But yeah, you put it below, so it actually it looks like a face going. This is amazing.
No, I mean this is the magic behind the show. But Justin, thank you for coming.
Of course.
Hell yeah.
really
I would
appreciate-
say we should pour one out for Chanel West Coast, but I already did on your rug.
Yeah, yeah. Before we leave the show, a sad moment.
Moment of silence
A
for
moment of
Chanel West
silence. Yeah.
She didn't pass.
After years of being part of the ridiculousness family, ... It's time for me to step off the red couch. Damn. So Chanel West Coast is leaving ridiculousness, and it's a sad day for all of us here in the studio.
I got to say, Robin Big was my favorite show.
Yeah,
Such a
And
good show.
The Fantasy Factory was my favorite show, and I
Yeah.
got to go to the Fantasy Factory before they
no
disassembled
way.
it, and I got to jump in the foam pit. And then the person who invited us there said, "Don't stay in there too long. A lot of weird shit's happened in there."
Yeah, they have a lot of parties there.
Yeah.
There definitely have been some
I couldn't
things.
get out, and I'm just like, I don't want to touch anything, and I cannot get out of this foam pit.
We did a project where Rob Dyrdek was an investor, and after the show, I'll tell you some of the stories about him.
Legendary.
And the legendary Zoom we had where he talked about how he breaks down his time and to be the most efficient version of himself.
Oh.
In a very Tony Robbins-y way.
That's amazing.
I saw
Yeah.
Chanel West Coast perform. She was spitting bars before.
Oh yeah, that's
She
right.
opened for Riff Raff.
Oh,
Wow.
It was a
That's a
crazy
match
show.
made in heaven right
It's
there.
fucking crazy shit.
yeah, that was my first thought when I read this. I was like, great for Chanel. She can
Focus
finally
on that rap career.
go back to that rap career.
No, that's
and,
amazing.
And I also saw a clip yesterday. One of the greatest moments in sort of Fantasy Factory history is when they're playing dodgeball, and she gets pegged in the face, and you could tell that it really made her upset and kind of hurt a lot, and she was trying to
Be tough.
be tough for the camera, and then Rob was really sorry, and then immediately, no less than 20 seconds later, kicks a ball, smashes her in the face, and she just immediately starts crying.
Oh,
And if you've never seen that clip, look it up. It is genuinely laugh out
She's a
loud.
trooper.
And we salute her service for all those years on the red couch.
She's got a great laugh.
Yeah, well, just laughing.
Yeah.
just
That's
laughing.
kind of all you need sometimes.
Absolutely, I think that's a good way to end the show. Sometimes you just need someone to laugh at you,
Yeah.
and that's all.
That's my sales pitch for being married or in
That's
any
true.
sort of relationship.
Yeah, that's something that I think about a lot on this podcast.
I convinced a friend. I'm just gonna tell you, I convinced a friend to get married, and not intentionally, but he said, what's it like being married? And I said, well, here's my theory. If you're single, you can be in a room by yourself and fart, and it just smells. But if you're in a relationship and you're in a room with someone else and you fart, they get really grossed out and you laugh hysterically.
yeah.
Wow,
And that's kind of a metaphor
That's
for life.
facts.
wow, that's really beautiful. Thank you,
I'd
Justin.
be
That's my
farting.
Tony Robbins right there.
Yeah,
I'd be farting.
Zig Ziglar.
Zig Ziglar. If you could just put that in a nice quote with some serif typefaces, because I give a fuck about fonts.
Yeah, no. Thank you for
Weirdo.
coming. Thank you for telling all your stories. And
Thanks, buddy.
And the fans, check out Justin Instagram, workingnotworking.com if you're not on it.
Yep.
Anything else you want to plug?
Sign up for free, justingnac.com. If anybody wants me to give a talk at their schools
Yes.
about how not to get a job, I will tell you all the ways to make sure you don't blow it trying to get a job.
I could also tell you that as well, but from the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
But where being yourself, inhibits you.
That's not true.
Drinking,
Always be yourself.
drinking twisted teas on the job.
Hey,
It
it
gets
worked.
you.
It worked out for the
Yeah,
best.
keep it twisted, guys.
Yeah, keep it twisted.
Keep it twisted.
Thank you. Peace.
Yeah.